Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 191 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I'm joined by the man who's no longer in his penthouse. He's back in his old place. How are you doing, Mr. Lord Cognito?
Yeah, I got to live a regular civilian life now. You know, had the finest of all things, the Egyptian cotton, the linen. You know what I'm saying? I was living that life. Got to come back to being regular, but I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to be back. I'm rested. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good. Time zone. It took me a while to come back for
it was a bit of an adjustment for me, like over a day. I was surprised.
Yeah. It took me about 2 days to get right because again, jet lag, and then I was tired going on the flight and coming back, and I just can't sleep on these flights. Man.
Yeah, same.
You know, for my fellow CPAP users, it's rough, and I just don't want to be that dude.
Yeah,
I can't next to someone. I just can't. You know, so I was like,
sleep is comfort, right?
Yeah, because I remember when I talked to you when you landed, you was like, you was on some 2 hours, and I was like, yep. I know how you feel.
I don't do well with that lack of sleep, bro. I felt sick.
Yes.
Just no energy, can't focus. I just am in a whole other world. Can't do it.
Man. But other than that, just getting ready, and then we'll be back traveling. Well, you got bad travel coming up.
Yes, but it's fun stuff. It's fun. It's been good to be involved in the preview scene. We'll talk about and review scene. We'll talk about that a lot in the what we're playing section. But yeah, I've been on the road a lot. I knew this kind of stretch would be busy because, there was the Metaphor event, the Xbox event, trying to get married next month. So there's that kind of locked in. Yeah, there's another event on top of the Last Stand one. So yeah, there's a lot, but I'm embracing it. It's like, this is a life a lot of people dream of. I'd be foolish to complain about it. So, I'm just kind of, it's a lot. I won't lie, but I'm trying to really embrace it. But I know after leading to the wedding, I do need to just lay low a little bit because I'm going from no travel to up down. So it's gonna be a lot. I'll be positively cooked for our San Diego show. No, I won't have any nerves. At least I'll just be just chill.
Yeah, because at least with this one, in former events, we've always kind of done this dissertation kind of stuff. This seems to be a more funner flow, so I'm actually looking forward to that one.
Yeah. You know I think it was a really good idea.
Talk about it. But this seems to be more fun, so I'm excited. A couple people hit me yo, I'm pulling up the SD.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of messages I'm actually flying. I saw someone write in about it. I didn't use the write-in, so apologies, but they mentioned I'm flying alone for the first time to come see you guys, and I'm like, hey, someone who doesn't like flying alone, that's brave. So we appreciate the love we get, man. That's absolutely. I can't wait to see so many of y'all who are listening to our shows and put on a good show for everyone one more time, and just have some fun in San Diego. Apparently it's a beautiful city. So I'm
beautiful. I've been once, long time ago. Really beautiful city.
Yeah, same. Mm-hmm. I just I can't wait to check it out. So because I'm not really a big Cali fan, but Culver City made me go
yeah, it was all right.
Some nice spots around here.
It was all right. I found a couple of healthy spots to eat. I was I don't
feel like that's tough to find in Cali. I feel like they're pretty health conscious there. I feel like I find some nice slim eats. It's the portion size. Did I tell you about the albacore tataki I ordered? There's a place across the street. I was staying at the Culver City Hotel, and there is a place across the street called Piccalilli, something like that.
Okay.
And me and Layla were like, all right, it's across the street. We're on an hour sleep, and the reviews online look good. I was like, let's just go. Yeah. And so the person helping us, I feel like I make this mistake every time. I realized I had this moment when we were at the restaurant where I realized I'm a horrible menu sniper. So when you want to go out of your pocket, what you're going to like, but you go out of the pocket and you're like, I'm going to try that. I'm feeling bold today. Let's go for that. And it just doesn't work out. That's me.
Oh man, the nasty face,
they get to me. I'm like, damn, that's mad small, and I paid so much for it, and that's what happened. So I ordered this albacore tataki because I asked the guy there. I was like, what's the best item on the menu? He's like, it's that one, dude. I was like, all right, try it out. It was delicious, but dude, it was like the size of my fist. I hate that. I hate that when I pay like $20 for a little albacore tataki and just I get something that couldn't even like feed my dog. I'm like, come on.
Oh man, they're killing my boy. My boy leaving with the growling stomach. Like, oh man,
that's the worst too. Yeah, you spend so much money. I walked away hungry. We went to Erewhon's right down the road. This bougie ass grocery store. I was like, $11 for a juice drink, bro. People in Culver City are balling out.
You see what it is, man. It's LA is crazy. They had me out here playing, what's it, $9 for the, what is it, the peanut butter banana joint? People were like, yo.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's that Cali. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So salute to our Cali base listening to the show. You are all a brave bunch dealing with that. If you have the option to leave, go. I say as I lived in New York my entire life.
we saying it like New York is the cheapest.
Yeah, it's wild. I've been living low this whole time. And I'm in fucking Connecticut. Like, okay. Thanks. We appreciate everyone tuning in, though. Thank you for being here. As always, you can support us on patreon.com/laststandmedia. Early ad-free access to this show, among our other ones like Summon Signs, Sacred. We're going to be recording Duke very early next week because I'm flying out on the 3rd. And so I'm leaving ahead of the LSM staff, so we're going to hit Duke a little early. I'll figure out what we're going to do. It might be kind of like a special theme show because I don't know if news is going to hit because normally the earliest we go is a Tuesday. A Monday, though, maybe, I don't know. Xbox, you step on one rake and we're set up for the week, right? So that's all it takes.
We usually got enough rakes to cover us. We be go fine.
Yeah, right. We'll be good. So something will happen. but just a heads up that show will be a little bit earlier. I don't know if it'll be delivered earlier. I'm sure it'll follow the same schedule, but just to keep everyone informed if there's news we do end up missing. Otherwise, though, I think you can still buy tickets for the show. I'm pretty sure you can still buy tickets for the live show. bit.ly/Sacred Dukes. That'll be linked down below. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be in San Diego, September 6th. So if you're looking for a quick trip out there and to have a good time with the LSM crew, come join us. We're doing a really fun kind of game show idea. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, not doing the class presentation style. I'm like, I like that we're all going to be like interacting. I think it's going to be really fun for the people who are there.
Absolutely.
I think it'll get competitive.
Yes, I already know Colin's going to be super competitive.
Yeah.
Then, like I said,
Colin's going to piss me off for sure.
Yeah, he gonna definitely. So it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. And then I want to see how the setup is. If me and you could be on some tag team, like what we doing, how we that could be fun. Yeah. That could be a lot of fun.
Forward to it. Mm-hmm. All right, God, we do have a write in here because I had to honor the Duke memes that were going around after our interview. I thought they were so good. Kai writes, "Hey boys, was your interview with Obsidian filmed by Peter Jackson, or is COG really that beefy? Seriously though, great interview. I'm sure you'll get into Avowed's FPS, so I'll hang up and listen now. Thanks, and have a Series X is the pro console." Kai today. Kai, thank you for writing in. Just a heads up, we talked about the Avowed stuff we broke the news. So we talked about that last week. So if you want to hear our extended thoughts on that, we got into it for a good 20, 30 minutes. But Kai, did you happen to see all of the Photoshops that were done of the image of all of us sitting on the couch and you just hunched over on the chair with the mic in hand? Like, I was like, dude, one of you just like cropped out of the photo. You're like half your body's out there and we're all just looking up at you. I was like, whoever did this is so subtle, but it's incredible. It looks so good.
Incredible. They said, the top comment on that video is still like COG, like he's sitting there in the shrine teaching 3 hobbits. And I was, bro, I was dying. It is literally the most trending. No one even cared about what was said. They just looking at that perspective. Shout out to my man Teddy, because the angle is picked. It looks like I am so much bigger than everyone else.
It really, yeah.
And then, to your guys' detriment, remember that couch I was in is one of them sinking type joints. So that
you were like downhill.
Yeah. So the angle and then that it just made it. It was hilarious. You gotta roll with it. Yeah. One of the funniest things ever. I actually love that. That's probably one of the most funniest memes. I laughed out loud when I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, so some of the pictures that the Duke community made, I mean, that's what's funny. Like, we have a picture come out of us or something like that. We didn't take a picture at the time, I realized, but a video together. So
we got the video. We doing that thing. But, you know what I'm saying?
Like when we take a picture together, it's like everyone's like, or a picture of us comes out. They're right on it. Like
immediately.
It's content for them. They're like, let's get to work and make something out of this.
Astro Parrot, Meatball, but I saw like there's a whole
new squad now. Yeah,
a whole new squad.
Yeah, like memes. A lot of my thumbnails just get like ripped apart. There's that picture of me from the Borderlands poster. Now anything that pisses someone off is just me standing in front of whatever's in that image now. It's so good.
It's good, man. They be on fire. They creative.
I love
give
it.
them that.
I love it.
Love it.
But thank you all for listening, and thank you for giving us great joy. We appreciate you immensely. Cog, let's get into the news. First one here. A lot of games announced at this interesting Nintendo Direct. I say interesting because it was a indie partner showcase. Also, it was just literally indie partner showcase. And so I think it was like split right down the middle. There were like 40 games shown off. We're not going to go through all of them. We're just going to hit the main ones, hitting Xbox, and of course, one Switch game that got announced. That's right. I got my own hum now.
Let's go.
All right, Balatro got a Friends of Jimbo update. They're also adding The Witcher 3 cards, Dave the Diver cards, Vampire Survivor, Among Us. This is available for free right now. Neva, I apologize. I always get the name wrong on this, is coming out October 15th or November 15th. The website I'm looking at here has both dates. I'll get a full official release date in a moment here. Coffee Talk Tokyo is coming out to Xbox in 2025. Sea of Stars is getting free DLC spring of next year called Throes of the Watchmaker. Cuisinier is coming out January 28th at the top of next year. Date Everything is coming out October 24th this year. Tetris Forever is coming out this year, and it's 15 different Tetris classics put into one kind of collection. And there's also an interactive documentary in there. And so it's pretty cool. There's actually like a time lapse mode that switches between these different versions of Tetris while you're playing it. So it actually looks pretty cool. Nice. I'd be curious to get Dustin's thoughts on it because I know he loved Tetris Effect. I think it was like the new.
Yes, I remember that one. Mm-hmm.
SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, is in fact real. It's coming out October 4th. This is an open world, physics focused sandbox video game, and I'm totally about this. I feel like this is actually going to be a good time. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Atelier Yumiya, The Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Lands, is a Koei Tecmo game. And the Atelier series is usually just on PlayStation, but it's coming to Xbox now, early 2025. And already available is Castlevania Dominus Collection. These are all the DS Castlevania games. You can get that on Xbox right now. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dunin Unification Wars. It's coming out March 6, 2025. Pretty significant delay for this game, so hopefully it comes out as unscathed as possible. Tales of Grace's F Remastered is releasing January 25th as part of the Tales of Remaster project, suggesting that there are more remasters on the way. And you may remember I covered on the show here with Cog that one of them was Tales of Exilia. So expect to see a lot of older Tales of games. Cog, I want to kick it to you first here because we have a lot of questions for you, a lot of questions for me on one. I know once we get to there's one announcement I'm leaving out.
Mm-hmm.
If we get to mine, there's going to be a long section here. Huge Load writes in. I love how numb I am to some of your crazy names. Like there was a time I'd pause.
That was definitely a pause word. I didn't even catch that one. That one slipped through the HR.
Because he wrote it like a name. You see that, like Huge Load. Like,
he's slick. He's slick. You see how he put the Hugh and then the Jalode?
Yeah. He's trying to make me foolish, but I got you. I got you. All right, Cog. We got right here. First one is Howdy Dukes. Cog is LSM's official Sega kid. I was going to ask how excited you are about Power Stone 1 and 2 from the beloved Dreamcast making a comeback in another Capcom collection, but maybe I should not since it won't be hitting Xbox either. All ribbing aside, I think Capcom is doing something quite smart with another one of these collections. Good to see them getting their catalog available on modern platforms. I agree. It's just hard to track because they have like the Marvel Fighting Collection, the Capcom SNK collection. Now you got this collection. I'm like, there's a lot. There's a lot of collections. It's a little difficult to track, but I'm happy they're doing it. I'm not going to complain. But Cog, it's not hitting Xbox. I don't mean to open it on a sour note, but I wanted to get this out of the way because you do have something I think to be quite excited about on this list too.
Yeah, Power Stone. I'm sorry.
But yeah, what do you have to say about this collection of fighter games, Power Stone, what it means to you as a Sega kid, and it not hitting Xbox?
Dreamcast, baby. You know, this is fighting game era. Power Stone is one of them games, man. I remember how addicting it was. And again, that lineup from the Dreamcast was so good, man. So good. So it's just like to see it. I'm like, oh, yes. Not for you, though. And I'm like, We still with the MT framework. We still with this joint. So I think I spoke to Jez or someone, and they were like, they are working on it. But I'm like, man, it's taking so damn long, bro.
Yeah.
Like missing the moment. But yeah, that's one of my joints. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I might not wait for that one because, bro, there's certain ones that I'm just like that. That's my heart. Power Store was one of those games, man.
Sure.
Shout out to the fight game community.
I want to get your thoughts on Suikoden and Cog. Pen and Pan writes in, what up, Duke? Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters finally got a release date for next year. I know Cog is a huge fan of Suikoden, so I want to hear from him. Is this going to be peak fiction? Love the content, crock and rock. Oh, no.
Oh, no. See, you didn't mess up with that.
Pen and Pan, you were like firing on cylinders. Positivity was there. Everything was there, and then you just ruined it.
Ruined it with that crack stuff. Nah, man. Suikoden. Yes, let's go. 100 Heroes. Look, I love the updates. Fast combat system. They added a couple of other little tweaks to the game now with the remaster. Man, I'm excited. I want to shout out to my man, the biggest Suikoden fan I know, my man Chris Jones. Right, I
saw his Twitter.
Bro,
lighting it up.
He is going crazy. He is having a party right now. You don't understand. This man be on me like, "Cog, what's up? But we gonna run down on Konami office. Like, what I got to do? What, give me the contacts." I'm like, "I got slow down. We on it." You know what I'm saying? And he's the same one that when Iron Chronicle came out, which is kind of that spiritual successor, to it in that sense. This is the game that got him into JRPGs. And I always tell people like, this was when Cog was like how you are with Trails is like how I was with Suikoden in my PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 type era. And Suikoden is one of those games. And it's so cool to see because I'm getting Addict to play and I'm getting him to play Aiden. And he's like, "Cog." And it's for Addict to say that he's JRPG all the way. He's like, "Cog, I go front." This is probably one of the more creative RPGs I've ever seen. JRPG.
Yeah, gameplay wise for sure.
Yeah, he likes the 1v1. He likes the big battle. He likes the one-on-ones. He likes the team part. The getting the characters and stuff like that. And then
the only problem with that game, in my opinion, is the dungeons. Like that's the only drawback. Dungeons
that's the only thing.
So old school. They're tough.
Yes. I agree. But what he was saying is he likes the creativity, and that's how unique it was for its time. I'm never going to put it up there. I know a lot of the Chrono Trigger guys have that, but this is for us. Like, we've never seen anything like Suikoden. So, for people to experience it with this, oh, man, super hypes. Finally, Konami, let's go.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it because I played a little bit of Suikoden 2 on my Vita. I remember when it came out as a PS1 classic, it was a big deal. And a lot of people were like, this is like a super expensive game, super rare. I can't believe they're doing it. Like, go get this. And it's like $5. So I said, sure, why not? I got this after I went. Persona 4 Golden kind of ruined a lot of games for me. Like, funny enough, Trails was one of them. Like, I played Cold Steel 1. I was like, this sucks. And I just moved on. And then I played Suikoden 2 and I was like, this sucks. It's not Persona. Like, I needed more Persona. I ended up playing Persona 3 afterwards. I was like, I need more Persona.
He was in that pocket.
Yeah, I was completely like, I'm usually not like that, especially not anymore. Can't afford to be. But like back then, man, I was like, man, this ain't scratching that right itch. But yeah, then I waited, and then they announced the remaster. I was like, well, I'm gonna wait for that, and it's been so long now. It's like we're right there. I cannot wait to check this one out, though. I think Suikoden is, as we've learned, a classic JRPG. I did something really special, and people really talk positively about the story and like the stories with each of the characters. Like there's over 100 of them that just all have their own backstory and move sets and stuff. And like on an art front, I'm so curious to see how far they went because like sprite sheets aren't easy in that, how like when you have like a 3D model, I'm not gonna act like a full expert on this, but like when you have a 3D model, like the animations that you can attach to them are a little more like you can transport them from model to model within reason. And with like sprite sheets, dude, like we're just redrawing like every motion, every movement, every attack. It's a huge undertaking for Konami. In some ways, it could require like AAA level staff. So I'm very curious to see how this one comes out because there were some shots like they had one of the waterfall with the moon. I was like, yeah, that's
sick.
That's so nice.
Yeah, man. And like you said with the story that people forget, like Suikoden has some dark themes going on too. There was some stuff going on, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So I just love it because you look at it on face like, oh, there's some cute JRPG. Oh, nah, bro, it's going down. It's war, it's betrayal, it's all type of violence going on in here. It's still on a huge scale.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, a couple games on this list I wanted to talk about. First one being the Patrick Star game. I'm a little surprised how decent it looks. This is from Outright Games, the same one's doing that new Ninja Turtles game also coming out in October. This is giving me a little bit of I haven't seen this company's this year name this year, thank God. But the game company that Game Mill, He's giving me that energy where they released a ton of games at once, and that's when they gave us like Walking Dead Destinies, they gave us Skull Island, Rise of Kong, like they gave us some real hot heaping piles of garbage, like some of the worst games of the year. So again, I'm very happy I haven't seen them so far this year, but I wonder if outright setting themselves up, like there's no way you're going to release both these games back to back and they're both going to be decent. Is it possible? I don't know. We'll see. I only will say that looking at the Patrick Star game, that world looked hella empty. Like, I don't know really what was going on there. Something looked very certifiably low budget there. But I think if you take it for what it is, could be a cool game. I'm curious to see how chaotic things get. And so, yeah, not much longer to go, which is kind of cool. I thought I had to wait till next year, but yeah, they're dropping it October 4th. So It's in the heat of the holiday season. Mm-hmm. I'll be up to my ears and things to play in October, bro. I swear.
Bro, it's insane.
We didn't get to talk about it last week. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Dragon Age is now coming out in October.
Bro.
You know?
Thank you for making me watch that trailer before we went live. Mm-hmm. Woo! Mm-hmm. Boy. Yeah. Speaking of people, I'm glad certain people moved away from other certain release dates.
I think more need to move. I think October is ridiculous right now, dude. There's too much shit. Like someone needs to have the self-awareness to be like, look, we have a great thing here. But like, there's other great things here. Like, I get it. Like Metaphor and Dragon Ball going head to head. It's like, yeah, you're two totally different genres. You're just two Japanese games. That's the only similarity, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, like, I mean, you got everything in that month. Like, why is Dragon Age going? Like, dude, wait 2 weeks. You have a whole open window in November. Like, I don't get it. It's crazy to me. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
But last game I really wanted to talk about from this direct in a major way was, I think, the biggest announcement of the show. I think it drew the second most or the most views across like Japan and the West. Mm-hmm. And that was Trails in the Sky remake. It's happening. And I mean, I'm so excited. I mean, we have so many write-ins. There's so many questions I got to answer here. We have Xbox related questions. I'm looking at them right now. Where do I start? What do I play? Et cetera, et cetera. Where does Falcom go from here? Because the interesting thing before I give reactions is right now, this is being published in the West and it's not revealed who. All they've said is, and let me grab the exact quote here. Pardon me, one sec. Is at this time, the Western publisher is to be determined, which is why our company name was mentioned in the announcement. There is a possibility that we may handle the distribution ourselves, but if arrangements are made with a local publisher, they would be responsible for distribution instead. So that means Xseed's not involved, which is very surprising because Xseed's the one who like helped release Sky, and so that's why this kind of remake or these ports or whatever they could have done with them were held up for so long. So Xseed's not involved. NISA is not involved, who's been the one porting and localizing all of these different Trails games. And also the interesting thing is platforms. They said, while the game has been announced for Nintendo Switch, a release on PlayStation and PC platforms, no mention of Xbox, is to be determined. There is a possibility that it could be released on these platforms. And if that decision is made, it will be announced at a press release at a later date. So right now it's Switch exclusive and they're publishing it themselves, which is a little surprising for them. Mm-hmm. But it's a testament to how big this game is. Not here in the West. There's a reason why, if you were watching the direct, Trails in the Sky remake was in a sizzle reel and it showed up for 5 seconds and then they moved on. It was like a hair, by the way, because I got a bunch of texts when I woke up just like, I think I just saw Sky remake, man. I was like, I think I just saw it. Like they just kind of showed it and moved on. I was like, how did they do that? Like, that's a huge thing. Then I found out the Japan Direct had a full 2-minute trailer because in Japan, Sky is huge. Sky 1 is a massively popular game. Like, this is a massive announcement, like a classic JRPG for people. And the reason the excitement's there and I'm seeing it like on my feed a lot more is because finally Falcom's doing the right thing here, which is like, here's where you can begin. Like, this is where you start your Trails journey. I think we have a write-in. Let's see here. Do we? We do not. But I do remember seeing someone mention it. This is where you start. Like, this is game 1 in the franchise. And they're remaking it using the gameplay from Daybreak, which just came out a couple of months ago. The only difference between these two gameplay systems that I'm seeing right now is Daybreak has like an action combat system that leads into turn-based. This is more Cold Steel-like of you run, you hit an enemy, and combat engages.
Right.
And you're right there. Okay. With that said, I'm so pumped, dude. Like they right away hit the music. You could hear it's kind of like reorchestrated. I'm like, oh hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're using the Xseed script, which is really good because Sky did get remastered one time for PS3 and Vita in
Okay.
Japan only. Again,
Gotcha.
speaking to the popularity of that game in that
I'm
region in
surprised they
particular.
don't bring this over like that.
Yeah. And so they used I think a different script or something like that. But point being is there have been updates. Like the best version to play right now would have been on PC. And so them using the Xseed script was a really good sign, I feel. I love the trailer and how they showed like the old game and the locations that you're
Yeah,
running
I'm
around
watching it.
in
Yep.
side
Yep.
by
Yep.
side. That was really cool. I knew it had to be coming though. Not only is Kondo, the head of Falcom, teased this a extreme amount. Like it's been rumored and teased heavily. The only reason it's rumored is because of Falcom. Like they just kept suggesting over and over that a Sky remake was incoming. But like I'll just say I was playing Daybreak 2, and this is not a spoiler. There is a asset in the game that is like a throwback to Sky that's like this whole on ship and everything. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's in this like museum, and I'm like, the hell is this doing here? I was like, why would you go out of your way to make this unless, and then here they are with the Sky remake. Because I'm like, you're making these assets and just reusing them in your other games because like that's what Falcom does. They just reuse shit constantly. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm beyond stoked to return to this game. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's one of the games I became the most nostalgic for quickly. Like I
Mm-hmm.
beat this game 2 years ago in January. Actually, whenever my Sky video went up on Retro Rebound is like around the time I beat it, and I was like, man, this game is just so cozy. It's so cozy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to sell you on like an incredible story. I think it's good, but it is really a lot of world building, and
Mm-hmm.
you will love these vibes. It's a really unique
Beautiful looking.
JRPG in not only that way, but it also, Cog, is not another JRPG where you're fighting God. Like that's one thing
Mm.
Trails does really well. You're not fighting God, or
Right.
which I think Atlas games fall into that trope. You're always fighting God in Atlas games of all kinds. SMT, you're fighting them in Persona, like always fighting God. So I like that this game is kind of focused on its world and its characters and like its technology, and the powers come from different things, I'll just say.
Okay.
So yeah, very excited to just see this world again. Liberal is an awesome setting. The music is gonna, I guarantee we're gonna get a ton of write-ins. It's gonna take over y'all's life if you like, Persona and you're like, oh yeah, I love a good video game soundtrack. I think Sky is like on that level. Like Sky has an incredible soundtrack. I mean, all of Trails does up until I think Cold Steel 2.
Mm.
And then it's kind of hit or miss. But yeah, Trails is like, it's just that dude, man. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited. We got a couple write-ins here.
Let's get
Haru
it.
Discourse writes, hey Dukes, Maddie, how are you feeling about the announcement of Trails in the Sky, the first? Personally, I'm thrilled at the thought of revisiting the Liberal Kingdom in all of its modern remade glory. Me too. Also, to make this an Xbox related question, is it finally time for the Trail series to make the jump to series consoles? With this now being the definitive starting point for new fans, it feels like the perfect opportunity for Falcom to bring this wonderful series to Xbox players. And I agree, it just does not seem like a level of consideration for them. Like they even said when they talk potential systems, like yeah, we might bring it to PC or PlayStation. They even talk about Xbox. And I know Xbox is like very much willing to just like throw out development kits and just be like, hey, here you go. Like, we're happy to help if we can get your game over. There just isn't an interest there. Like that's the sad part is I'm like, this is a perfect time to do it. You don't have a Western publisher.
Mm.
There's step one,
Yep.
exposure, starting point of the series. I'm not saying give it away to Game Pass, but
Right.
get this thing anywhere you can, man. Like
Yeah.
they're foolish to not do that. If it's on Falcom, they're foolish to not do that. If Xbox can facilitate that, my worry is Xbox is going really in on metaphor. And I feel like this is going to kind of decide how much they want to go in on future JRPG marketing. But the problem is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if metaphor still sold better on PlayStation. And I
Right.
say that because, it like Xbox can't just cover the ground on one game and be like, that's our JRPG. It's
Right.
like, no, you got to do what you did on 360. Like, you get a lot of JRPGs and you get the marketing for some of them. Some of them were exclusive. I don't think that's going to really happen anymore, but you get the marketing for a lot of them. Like, make it all about your platform. So I think getting something like Trails and kind of leading it to the West would be an amazing thing for them to
I
do,
agree.
because this is
I
a
agree.
franchise that now is ripe for the exposure. Like, okay, they called it the remake the first, like they're going to do the second and the third Sky games, no doubt about it. And since there's a bunch of Sprite games beyond that, like Zero and Azure, they're probably going to remake those as well. Like it's all right there. So, like it's time to start bringing them over to all platforms. They're beginning worldwide releases. We just saw that announced with Daybreak, or no, I'm sorry. I think it's the next. Oh no, I think Sky is going to be worldwide. I think Sky Remake's going to be worldwide. So they're getting there. It's like you just got to get it everywhere now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think especially it's the perfect starting point, right? For a guy like me, I don't know anything about these games, so I'm learning. I'm like, okay, this is the beginning. Like if I never played before, where do you start? And that's what it seems to be. And it looked beautiful. I think it's what you said. I think it's kind of like the vibe I'm getting from Xbox is they're plugging the major holes first, the Personas, the Yakuzas, and then obviously now with Metaphor. And we have to admit, Maddie, when we was in Gamescom LA, Metaphor had a huge presence. I was shocked.
Biggest TV in the room.
Biggest TV in the room, the huge coverage. And it's actually one of I put it on our sister channel, LordsofGaming.net YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. But, and I put it there. That's one of our highest performing, just me playing around, not even knowing the gameplay. And people were that excited. So I think if I had to guess, it's what you said. I think they're gauging, now that they're filling the gaps, how is this actually going to perform on the platform? And then hopefully, which is what I'm hoping with TGS coming, be the perfect time to mend those relationships and say, hey, heard you doing this. How could we facilitate getting this on the platform? So I'm hoping to get some announcements like this with TGS this year, because I'm not sure that they're going to have a major presence like in the past, but at least if you could throw some, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Game Pass bag, but let's throw some announcements that, hey, this is also coming to the platform we're working on. That'll be huge.
Agreed. We have another question here. This one's from the Blues Bomber. Hey, Duke. This is mainly for Maddie Bacog. Feel free to weigh in. With the recent news of the Trails in the Sky remake coming in 2025, I need your advice. I, like many, started with Cold Steel 1 and went back to Sky. I've 100%ed both FC and SC. My question is this. Do I just play the third chapter on Steam quickly on easy to get through it, knowing there are most likely all being remade, and go for trophies on the remakes? I don't want to delay going forward in the series and am a trophy hunter. Advice? Thanks, Jace. I say just go ahead. Because the reality is next year is kind of interesting in that they're releasing 2 Trails games, right? They're releasing the Sky remake and Daybreak 2. Daybreak 2 is coming out in February, I think. So they're like already doubling up. I don't know. And then there's East 10 coming to the West this year. This company's fucking insane, dude. They're insane.
How many of these games they got?
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. This is like a team of barely, I think, like 80 people. So
they're small.
That's why I say like they are the kings of reusing assets, because they just I guarantee there's stuff in Trails that's in East and vice versa that they're just continuing to mix together. And it's so impressive. Like as a developer, I think it's so impressive. And it's something I think a lot of the industry should learn from. It's like, how do we make more with less? Because I think Falcom's one of the few companies keeping that kind of early 2000s tradition alive of like, they're just showing up. They're just always there. You can just count on them to be consistently there. So I think you just go ahead and play Blues Bomber. Like just finish out the series, at least in the Sky trilogy. I don't know about trophy hunting, as I just mentioned. Like right now it's looking like a Switch exclusive. We'll see if things change down the line. But we don't know the release cadence is what I was originally getting at. We don't know if Sky 3 is going to come out, if they're going to do these annually or if they're going to do it every 2 years, because then you're going to be waiting a while. I think just keep the momentum. I think there's something special about doing that, just keeping it going. I don't even know if you have to play it on easy, personally, but Sky 3 is one of my favorites. I think it's really, really good game. And honestly, it's the backbone for a lot of things they do later in the series, like all the doors you go through, literally. There's a lot there that they unpack over time, particularly with Ren. Amazing character. So
nice.
I say go for it. Enjoy it. That's what I always tell people is like, I was telling people to hold up on Sky. Like me and Brad had that bet, and I was like, I'm gonna not put. He had like give me 3 choices, and one of them was Trails in the Sky. I was like, I'm not gonna put you on that because I think there's a remake coming. For people who are starting, you may as well just wait for the remakes. If you're really that into it, you're like, I loved Sky 1. I would just tell you, just go play. Like the old Sprite games are great. Like they're so charming. So it's kind of up to you. But yeah, if you're starting fresh, just keep it with the remakes. If you're not starting fresh, then I think you might as well just keep going.
Gotcha.
All right, last question here, and then I'm done swaying over what we got here for.
It's your day, baby. This is you.
I know this is.
Yo,
I'm like, finally, I'm getting a remake, and it looks competent, and it's not in jeopardy. It's happening. I'm taking. Yes. I'm soaking it all in. Life is good.
Yes, life is good.
Mexican Zoidberg writes in. I know without a doubt that Maddie is going to be gooning about the new Trails in the Sky remake. But there are two things that caught my eye. One, where does Falcom expect people to go from here after finishing the remake? The next 4 games are in 2D. Do they expect people to go from 3D cell shaded remake to 4 games that are 2D? I guess they could remake the rest of the 2D games. Given the amount of resources that will take, I don't see it as likely. The whiplash in art style and perspective might put some people off. 2, they dropped a Japanese and an English trailer at the same time. Does that mean a potential worldwide release for the first time in the series, or am I overdosing on copium? Have a I can't think of anything clever to say kind of day. Well, Zoidberg, I think for your second question, I'm pretty sure they did say worldwide release in a press statement. So look forward to that. As for the future of this series, it is very interesting where they're at, because there is the art style whiplash that now exists. And that was the danger of remaking Sky 1. It's like, I guess you could get away with just Sky 1 being remade, because it's like, this is a classic in Japan. And so maybe people want to re-experience it. And it's like easy money for Falcom. Like, go ahead, do it. But then you name it the first. And I'm like, okay, that means there's the second and the third in this trilogy. Mm-hmm. So
Final Fantasy remake, Bob.
Yeah, 100%. So I think they're going to go all the way. The problem is, how far do they go? Because Zero and Azure are in a similar art style. And so I think they have to remake those as well. The good news is, I'll just say Crossbell is very prevalent in later Trails games. So they have the assets for those. Like they have the assets, I'd say more so for a Zero and Azure remake than they do for a Sky remake. So it's a pretty good sign if they're remaking Sky. At least from my outsider perspective. The question is, where do they think 3D is enough, is how I look at it. It's like, okay, obviously you probably want to remake the 2D games, but then you get to Cold Steel, where they got like the Lego run, and they got some like if you don't have turbo mode on PS4, like some really slow combat, but it is 3D. It is all kind of that anime art style, but you're still going to go and feel that whiplash. I don't really think it's until Cold Steel 3 that the current gameplay styles would be somewhat parallel. So I don't know how far they go. Because obviously then you can just create this ever turning cycle of like, okay, now once we're like at the end of this series, whatever entry it ends at, that gameplay is like the top, the peak. It's like, now do we go back and bring it to the first entry and just repeat all this? So if it's just updating the art style, maybe they take a more simplified approach. Again, seeing that they stripped some of the action gameplay from like Daybreak, and didn't put it into Sky makes me wonder if they're just going to kind of try to keep things as lean as possible. At the same time, I can see Falcom being really weird with like lore, because there are these things called shards, which is why you're able to like jump your enemies the way you can in Daybreak, versus Sky, you technically don't have that. So I could see them just being like, we're not going to do that mechanic because it doesn't make sense. Like they're that weird. So I don't know, but I think they are going to remake at least the rest of the 2D games. I don't know how quickly they'll do it, but yeah.
He's ready. He's ready.
It's happening.
I love it. I love it. You are going to be in heaven right now. It's going to be five weeks of Dukes.
2025, bro. It's looking really good, bro.
Oh yeah.
It's looking really good. All right. I've talked everyone's ear off enough. Cog, thank you for dealing with me, but unfortunately, you got to deal with me a little bit longer.
Let's go.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie trailer. What do we think? Did you check it out?
Oh yeah. We're gonna talk.
Let's talk. We got to
talk. Oh yeah. Let's do the read-in. Let's do the write-in though. Let's do the write-in, because I think the write-in is appropriate for what needs to happen. That's what I think. So let's do the write-in.
Okay. The Uncharted Wolf writes in. What up, Dukes? Maddie, I'll be expecting your formal apology for disrespecting Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog very soon. That man crushed his Shadow in the trailer, and I cannot wait to see more of him in the full movie.
So I saw the trailer. And I came in very cautious. I want to see where they go. Started off, first of all, art style. Shadow looks amazing.
He does, yeah.
Shadow looks absolutely amazing. So then we get to the iconic moment. And we got Knuckles. We got Sonic, Tails, the crew. Before Shadow, right in Tokyo. And I heard someone talk. And it was like, you're a colorful bunch. And I'm like, oh, he did that. Now, granted, it was one sentence. Granted, we need to see more.
3 things in the
3.
Yeah,
bruh, Keanu did that, bro. I was like, Maddie, if Maddie's upset with this, he ain't got no soul in his heart. Like, bro, this trailer was then Knuckles was like, yeah, what's up? He said, I want to fight. He grabbed Knuckles' hand and said, if you don't get up out of here, and then proceeded to destroy all of them. The side was like, can we talk about this? Trailer of the year. Like, I'm so hyped. They coming for me. There's like, we know you on your old man stuff, but we gonna bring out young Cog. We know you used to play this game. You know everything about this game. Then they went back to old Robotnik. I'm like, oh, they coming for me right now. They coming for me. Bro, this trailer is fire. Maddie, come on. Don't give me this you ain't like it stuff. Come on, man.
I didn't say anything yet.
All right, because you was wild disrespectful last time we had this topic. You were like, and I can't believe he's just going to talk in his normal voice. Now, granted, it is a little normal, but it fits. It fits, though. And I don't want to hear about normal voice because the dude who plays Sonic is normal voice. Ben, whatever his face.
You don't like Ben Schwartz's Sonic?
I love Ben Schwartz's Sonic, but he kind of talking like Ben Schwartz. But this fits. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I was like, nah, he sound kind of dominant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I like the part where he put the head with the glass with the Robotnik. I think they're gonna go with the daughter's situation.
Maria.
Yeah. And that's gonna make him the dark side. He didn't have the childhood that Sonic had.
Oh, yeah, they're going full Sonic.
They going full. They had Akira slides from an old school MMA with him on the bike.
Yeah.
Bro, they doing some stuff with this. So look, I'm done bloviating. I am here. I am dying to hear what you are going to say. And be careful. Run with the Dukes, we on you. Robert Kelly, I'm fighting a good fight for you, brother. Because he was wild disrespectful. So I want to hear what he going to say this time. So let's go.
All right. So let's start with what I like. I love how they portrayed Shadow. I love how they portrayed, like, he is powerful. And, like, you feel that in the games. So I like the movie, like, him crushing Knuckles' hand. I was like, that's a level of brutality I can get down with. I was like, that says something. I loved how he, like, pretty much chokeslammed Sonic into the ground. They end the trailer with them, like, clashing. Like, this movie could have some really sick fight scenes if they just nail it. I like that they didn't focus on the human characters. I was like, the cast is big enough now. Like, you have Knuckles, Sonic, Tails, Shadow. We really don't need the human characters at this point. Like, just make the movie about these characters, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we saw what happened with the Knuckles TV show. Like, it's kind of funny, but it's starting to detract from what people are there for. So I'm hoping that they're just like a setup, and then they're out of there. All the callbacks are fantastic. I really like those. Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic story ever. So, like, debut. Of course, like, I was just all over that. Like, seeing
Shadow's debut, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, it's Shadow's debut. Like, you see him at the end of the second movie. Like, he's like there at the like final frame, and I was so stoked for that. They made him look great. They had his like slide,
bro,
perfect animation. Yeah, he looks sick. So they nailed Shadow. Like, they nailed him visually, and
I'm waiting.
I can see your face. So I laughed. But yeah, I really like how they're portraying him. I'm not sold on Keanu Reeves, though. I'm sorry. I'm not sold. I'm not. I need to hear more. Were
you disgusted when you heard it?
I was not like, I'm a fan. And I feel like a lot of people who are like a big fan are lying to themselves right now. We did not hear enough to be like, yeah, that's Shadow. Okay.
All right, fair enough. We got like 2 or 3 sentences.
Yeah,
but
like we heard
sentences you heard.
Like, I want to hear.
You were disgusted. Were you disgusted, sir?
No. Like I wouldn't say.
That doesn't sound like disgusted.
No, I wasn't disgusted. Yeah, everyone knows how I act when I'm fucking.
I know when you're disgusted.
You how I just get on that roll and I just realize in real time, like, oh, I am disgusted. Like with the McDonald's ad, like, oh shit, this does suck. No, I didn't hate it. But I wasn't like, oh yeah. So that's why I said I feel like I got to hear more.
He's coming around, y'all. He's coming slow.
I don't know though, because again, I hear. You're like, oh, I hear Ben Schwartz. I'm like, Ben Schwartz sounds like a Sonic from like all the games I played. Keanu sounds like nothing like anything I played in the game.
Sound like the cool final boss, bro. Like, come on, like he's
a colorful bunch. I'm like, all right, Duke Kaboom, settle the fuck down. God damn.
Hey yo, this man has no soul.
I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy, but like I watch it. My friend was like, yo, I'm like, you're lying to yourself. Like I know you're I know you're lying to yourself. If all it took was 2 lines from this dude, come on. I know I can't talk much because I heard that Robert Pattinson clip that they used from the Batman. It's literally a 6-second clip dubbed over a Shadow the Hedgehog cutscene. I was like, that's it. And that's the thing. I was like, you gotta beat a 6-second clip. And so I need to see more. I need to see more.
This is your Robert Pattinson. Okay, I see what's going on.
Here's my
that's your choice. That's
by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has seen the movies to back up my opinions now. I feel Keanu Reeves and games, by the way. Keanu Reeves is a great actor when the role is built for him. Johnny Silverhand, Neo. I think of those characters. That's where he excels because it's built for him. When he's got to be someone else, I still hear Keanu Reeves. Like, he does not do what I think a lot of actors and actresses are able to do, which is take a little bit of himself out of it and kind of blend a little bit more into that character, you know?
So is he not dark enough for you? Is it not gruff enough for you? What do you need to hear?
I think it's lacking the edge.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I think it's lacking an edge to it. Like, he just sounds like he's trying to sound like Shadow rather than being Shadow. Like, he's like, you're a colorful bunch, but I'm like, you sound almost like, I don't know. He's like amused by it in a sense, but I was like,
bro, the swag, the dominance, I felt it. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I am not the huge Keanu guy that everyone else is. I'm the more neutral of it. Like, Keanu to me he's okay.
I love Keanu.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love him, Matrix, and all stuff. He's cool with John Wick, but I never looked at him as like, oh my God, this is this, amazing thing that I want in voice acting and video games and everything. But I have to admit, maybe it's the fact that the art style of Shadow is so fire and the way they capture it, to me, I don't feel like he has to say a lot because he's so dominant. And it just hit for me. It was just like,
oh yeah, the visuals are amazing.
Ridiculous. God bless. So my thing now is just to your point, though. I will say this to your point. I want to see more as it go, like more of the conversation, like how's it going to play? You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me,
I feel like he's got, like, I think he can do it is what I'll say. Like, that was the positive I walked away from is like, I think he can do it, but I got to hear him in like other moments.
True. Fair enough.
That's like, again, I didn't play a lot of Sonic until very late in my life, but I did play Shadow growing up. I loved Shadow. Like, Shadow was always my favorite. And then when I played Sonic Adventure 2, I was like, I love like this rendition of the character. But I'm not so attached to it that it can't be done better. Like, part of the charm of, I think, Sonic games, especially older Sonic games, is that voice performance and just how corny it is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of what I was feeling is he is taking it so seriously that I feel like some of the cheese is left out that makes Shadow. Again, that's why I said though, like I even feel right now I'm going too hard on it because I've heard 3 lines. Everything I'm saying is like a product of complete over-analysis. Like, it's not fair. It's like, like, I really, 3 sentences, that's all it takes. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that'd be good of me. So, but at the same time, that's why I say to people when they're like, Uncharted Wolf right again, like, yo, apologize to that, man. I'm like, no, I heard 3 sentences. The hell are you on, man? My friends texting me, yo, they did. I'm like, what are you on? 3 sentences?
He's coming around, Reverend. Give him time.
I love Shadow. But do we really want to love it that bad that we're going to lie to ourselves?
Bro, that trailer was fire, though. That's what's happening right now. Everyone's hype on the hype train of the trailer. It looked amazing. It looked like they're going to pull off this dope story.
You're talking to me right now like I wasn't the conductor of that thing. Like, I was the one telling people when Sonic the Hedgehog 2 ended, I said 3 is going to be sick. Now we're all talking about it.
Yeah, I'm
this
in
is
now.
A flannel moment. This is a flannel moment.
You had the flannel. You rocked it first. Now
I had the Shadow flannel. Now everyone's like, "Oh, you're mad. Apologize."
Now. Yo, that joint is fine. You ain't with us?
Like what? I'm not against anyone.
He's like, bro, that was my old flannel from back in the day. I feel that. I respect that. You was holding that down for the longest. I respect. And shout out to them though. I want to give them credit because this is one of the. Me and Attic talked about. This is one of the first movies I've seen. That when Sonic, that first movie and that first rendition of his graphics came out and the crowd saw that and they said, if you disrespect Sonic with that teeth and that foolishness that y'all was going to run out there, and they redid it. And look what has happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. Then you got Jim Carrey. Oh, dude, man. It's so
that may have been the best thing to happen to the Sonic franchise because it did communicate a level of like, we hear you and we're going to try. And the first Sonic movie is like just okay. I think the second one's really enjoyable. And I think the third one's going to be even better. But because the stakes just continue to raise. But yeah, I think from that moment, people were like, okay, Sonic can be good.
Yeah.
And then the games just started to roll, and like Frontiers took itself really seriously, and like had a writer in Ian Flynn who actually cares about the Sonic lore. And it's like, now they're rolling. Then we got
So cool.
Sonic X Shadow Generations this year is like just, I think, flying under the radar for
right. That's gonna be right. Nice.
That's also October. So
October, I might have to get in on that one. And I like what they did to Paramount with the rings. That was kind of like a nice touch.
Yeah,
nice touch.
No, they do such a good job in those movies of like little Easter eggs. Like I think in the first or the second movie, they had a shot where, you know, the cover art for the first Sonic Adventure, the Dreamcast, where he's kind of doing like the loop. They like had a shot where he like jumped over something and just they like slow mode it for like a split second. You just see it and it keeps going. Like it's they do a great job with that stuff. A lot of fan service.
No doubt.
All right, Cog, let's get into something we can agree on.
Yes.
Dragon Age the Veilguard. High level gameplay is out. The game releases October 31st, is confirmed by BioWare. Custom Alex writes in, hey Dukes, lots of info is dropped for Dragon Age Veilguard. They're doing a narrative podcast and they showed some high level gameplay that looked really good in my opinion. I love the Captain America shield throw. Also, it looks like the Mass Effect Andromeda combo moves are back, and that looks like fun. They're making some interesting marketing choices. How are the Dukes feeling about this round of info? I'm sold on the game. And is there anything else you want to see? See, this is where y'all come out of the woodworks and go like, we would go apologize, right? This is the type of moment where I think an apology might end up being owed because everyone was shitting their pants in June. And here we are as BioWare's kind of crawled themselves out of a hole, by the way, they dug with their awful trailer. But I thought gameplay one, I was like, I've seen way fucking worse than this. But okay, we'll stand pat. Then I see this high level gameplay. I'm like, what? Unless the story is terrible, I at least can look at this and go, I think I'm going to have fun with this. And that's a win in my book for the last couple of BioWare games. It's just the story now. It's almost the Andromeda situation. Andromeda, I was like, this is going to be fun. Like, there's no doubt this is going to be fun. We're going back to like Mass Effect 1 style gameplay. How's the story? So it really hinges on that. And for BioWare, that's a lot. Like, that carries a lot of weight. They seem confident in it and their companions. They're doing companion reveals this week. So there's that ongoing. But Cog, what did you think of this high level Captain America-esque gameplay that we got for Dragon Age the Veilguard?
Thank you for making me watch this trailer that I missed. Wow. Just like you said, first trailer we saw was just like, whimsical. It was cinematic. We were like, what's going on here? The tone looks off. We didn't know what was going on. Second trailer, we got the custom thing. We got Solas. We got the lead up to the fight with Solas. Looked really, really good. I was into it. This is core gameplay and action at its finest. And to really take the veil off, let us get under the hood. Yeah. Let us see everything from an armor standpoint, everything from a skill standpoint, skill tree, runes, how that affects. This is that classic BioWare, that RPG feel. I got to give a man, is Mark Dara still over there? Our homie Mark Dara over there? I think that's the Mark Dara effect, man. I just do it. Like, this thing really impressed me. The thing that I've noticed off the top, one, the enemy diversity. I like the enemy diversity, different sizes, style. Obviously it's getting a little radial button energy. So like Custom Alex said, Mass Effect Andromeda. One thing we got to say about Andromeda, even though we do not like it as one of the pillars of the franchise, it had one of the best combat systems. I have to give Andromeda. Shout out to my man.
Yeah, it's so fun to play.
Oh yeah, Hogue always goes hard for it.
I still like to fire that game up sometimes, like randomly, just play it. It's so funny because the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was so effective for me, and just like I get to play that more. But Andromeda's got like the best gameplay in that entire franchise, and just to fire that up with the multiplayer, when it was supported, was so nice.
Oh yeah, no, core gameplay, it was by far the best of the evolution in the series. So yeah, this is that the abilities. I like that they were playing on resistances and like, if you have abilities that do flame damage or whatever damage, like it would kind of highlight the hue and green to let you know. They take it a little Final Fantasy VII remake energy with the stagger system and building up, that kind of thing. And then one thing I have to shout them out. This is for my Anthem fans. As a Destiny guy, when I first saw Anthem, one of the coolest things that they did was primers and detonators. So you got certain characters, they would do abilities that would be a primer, and others that do a detonator. So that if you do these things in synergy, you could wreak havoc against enemies. And they look like they have that system going on. They kind of put that forward into Drag. That's kind of dope. So I'm in it. This looks epic. I'm like, look. It's to the point now, like I am almost not worried. Like it's to the point now. It's like, The story just got to be trash.
Yeah, it's delivery, execution.
Yeah. It's execution. If the story, like, and all I let's say, if you give me, because you told me Inquisitor got to be in here, man. Because remember, I'm in Inquisitor.
100,000%.
If I get to meet my Inquisitor, the guy, you know what I'm saying? That's going to mean a lot to me because I built so many hours in Dragon's Age Inquisition, beat it, and I would love to get that. And I'll see the cast of the crew, what happens with Solas, what happens with my man Varix and all that. If they nail this story, let me tell you, there's a reason dudes need to move. They released it. Because this looked like it's coming. And remember, I told people there's a reason why Xbox is being very gun shy with a lot of their releases until now, right? Is because they had to wait until these guys actually drop their date. And remember, Xbox has the marketing rights. They got to play nice with their partners. You can't, you bought the marketing rights, and then you're going to disrespect your partner and put your games all next to it. So yeah, I'm in. This looked like it's going to be the big one for me. So I'm super pumped to see if they pull this off. And the reason we need this, y'all, Mass Effect fans, we need this.
Oh, dude, Mass Effect fans are rallying around this game. I've seen, as someone who covers everything BioWare, the amount of people who are like, I am supporting this straight up so that we can get the Mass Effect. Like, I think it looks good, but like, I'm here for Mass Effect.
I'm here.
Like, that is what I'm seeing. I love the rallying cry that's happening. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
It's so cool to see the BioWare research. So I'm hyped. It's like it's gonna be a really damn good game, and cannot wait. So, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, look, as someone who I encourage people to, I'll be trying to do re-reviews of all these Dragon Age games ahead of the release of Veilguard. And I say that because Dragon Age 2, I think, is a game that a lot of people like picked up once, played it, was like, this is not Origins. I'm out of here. I'm moving on. And the series, I mean, really the studio from that point onward was like just an action RPG studio. And so I think a lot of people, they come back to Dragon Age 2 and see it for what it is, which is like an action RPG with pretty good choices. But you have a voice character and kind of overly defined dialogue options. If you could accept those sort of things, you get something pretty good in that. And especially it's impressive with the time it was made in. What I'm thinking about when I'm looking at Veilguard is like, oh, this is Dragon Age 2 if it had time to breathe. If it had time to like really develop more characters, if it had time to go to different settings other than Kirkwall. Like, there's a lot here that gives me Dragon Age 2 vibes. And the combat in Dragon Age 2, very hacky slashy, very ability driven. And this looks like way more interactive. Like, you could boot people off of cliffs. You could throw your shield. There's like primers and igniters. You mentioned that. It was like from Anthem. I'm like, they're kind of pulling all the strings right now. You could see the combo attacks from Mass Effect. I'm like, yeah. Like, again, I'm the first to be a Dragon Age Origins stan. It's my favorite in the franchise. But I also understand who BioWare is as a company now. What is it? 14 years? I can't do math right now. Over a decade later, right? It's been a while since that game came out. 2009. And they've dramatically transformed since. They've hired and become an action RPG studio. When I look at other action RPGs out there, I'm like, this looks like top of the line quality. Like, this looks really good. And especially if it nails its story where I can go back and replay this, like this could be a BioWare's back moment. Like, I'm not going to say that until I've played and beat the game and feel that, but this is the first BioWare game that I've got into with really right now with little trepidation. Like, I'm not sitting here like, I don't know, something's off. I'm like, they're hitting all the notes for me. Like, I think, for example, party member control is important in these games, but I think sometimes, and people may freely disagree with this because it is my personal hot take on the series, I think it's a little bit overstated and overvalued, because in games like Inquisition, positioning matters, I feel, even in its toughest fights on its hardest difficulty, very little. Pausing the action a little bit more so, but I never felt chemistry with any of my teammates. I was just flipping characters in the roster. And Dragon Age has always reinvented its gameplay with every entry, right? Like, you had, obviously, the first in Origins is more of a tactical RPG that was originally supposed to be Baldur's Gate. Then you had 2, which is an action RPG. Inquisition is a hybrid. And now Veilguard is like, let's do the Mass Effect combat system, but also elements of Anthem and Dragon Age 2, and put it in a blender and see what comes out. And I'm like, that's different and that's fun. Like even Anthem had its fun elements, believe it or not.
Anthem have some fun combat.
Anthem's the only BioWare game like in the modern era that I haven't beat. So I say that very generously. That I think like they have fun elements like that. So yeah, dude, I love that they're pulling the strings there. And I'm like you, I'm not concerned at all. I'm like, this should at the very least be a great game. You know, it's really about the story. And that's why I'm going all in. I'm like, I'm going to play all the games. Like I'm going to take in all the lore. I'm already like halfway through Origins. Like I'm just going to romp through this world, man. Like I'm so excited, especially because this is back to a more linear style BioWare, a more companion focused BioWare. Like the values are there is what I should say. Like the values are aligning with what I always looked for in BioWare. It's just the execution, and the execution could be off. We'll see. But right now for gameplay and combat, I'm not looking at that going, no, I'm not really excited for that. It's like, no, I can get down with that shit. So I'm looking forward to it big time.
Yes, sir.
All right, Cog. Let's move it along here. A Crash and Spyro crossover was canceled. We have the writing here from Sean Mason. Hello, Dukes. This past weekend, Did You Know Gaming shared details about the canceled Crash Bandicoot 5. It seemed like a promising continuation of Crash 4 and even included a Spyro crossover, suggesting that the rumored standalone Spyro game was indeed real. With the game now officially canceled, it seems both franchises might be on their deathbed. What do you think are my beloved Crash and Spyro franchises dead? Best, Sean M. Cog, I'm going to kick this to you because I don't know if I have strong opinions on this in any way. I've played all of the games in the Crash and Sane trilogy. Don't really feel one way or the other about it. And I have not played a lick of Spyro in my life. It's one of my rare blind spots in gaming. Oh, you're with me? All right, Cog, let's go.
I'm not a Spyro guy. Yeah. But I get it. I get it. And I know Attic and a couple of people I know Spyro guys. But look, what's disheartening though is hearing what the developers were saying. Like, yo, you have no idea what we had cooking. It was some of the most amazing things. That always kind of bothers me to hear that, something that developers were really excited about gets shut down and, they're not going that direction. And I still want clarity on, why the direction was shut down. What are they planning to do? So if I had to guess, look, I don't think you got to give up hope on Crash. I think honestly both franchises will continue. It's just not in this specific iteration in this dope crossover that was planned to happen. And then obviously we got the whole Toys for Bob situation. We got to see what they're gonna do, right? So I don't give up hope yet on the individual franchises. I think they will still come back. It's just that, man, it does sound like this iteration that was planned would have been fire though. So
yeah,
then I don't think dead, but just on time out a little bit. And we'll see what happens and reassess.
Yeah, this might be the one that, remember we did that news story we covered about how there were like Toys for Bob devs that were kind of talking about like, when you find out what this next game was, you're going to be heartbroken on its cancellation.
Yes,
I'm like, dang,
that was it.
Like, this is such a cool idea. Like, I just don't think gaming crossovers happen often enough, especially when they share a family like this. I'm like, this is kind of like a high tide raises all ships moment. So hate to see it, but yeah, like I said, I don't have strong opinions on it other than it definitely, I will say, would have moved me over the needle. Like going from, Crash 4, for example, looks great. Probably not going to play it though. To like, Crash and Spyro together. Like, that's awesome. Like, I just love that that's happening. I'm there. Like, I'm going to check this out. So yeah, it's a shame that it got canceled.
100%, because that sounds dope. And I agree with you. More crossovers need to happen. And that's one of the things I think I'm going to say the jury's still letting out because it's still early, but I'm still saddened with the acquisitions in the sense of that we're not getting more of that, between the families of studios, right? I'm like, man, we should see that. And I would hope they encourage that kind of creativity between the studios.
Absolutely. We have up next here, Cog. You ready, sir?
Let's get it.
Not much longer now, month away, Starfield Shattered Space. And there were hands-off previews at Gamescom. They were defined as a theater presentation. And there was a particular term getting tossed around for this that I'm curious as to your thoughts. And it said that it has a sci-fi horror focus. Did you expect this?
Didn't expect the horror part. I know we'd go deep lore with House Varun, their home world, seeing what's going on there. Horror excites me because people see, that's why I pay nobody no mind when they talk they Starfield because they didn't play it in 100%. And there's a lot of things that I saw with certain missions. I remember a specific one where it was like a certain creature that had kind of run loose on a derelict ship that you approach. And this thing had slayed all the monsters, slayed all the humans, and it is the most tension-filled mission. It is kind of like an aliens isolation kind of thing going on, a little Dead Space going on. So they proved to me with like 3 or 4 of these side missions in Starfield, they can do horror. And I told people when you did the Vanguard mission, when you had to fight the Terramorph, I was like,
Yeah,
we got some tension here. You bet to get all the turrets online. This thing will hunt and kill you. So yes, I have no worries of them doing hard. And the fact that it's going to have that focus, the great serpent. We shall see what is going to happen with House for. I can't wait, man. I'm so excited to jump back in Starfield. I've been rocking my I've been playing Starfield too, so I've been rocking my what you call it, the Rev. I'm
gonna play that tonight.
Yeah, you gotta get a feel of it. Definitely Mako vibes. You know what I'm saying? And you could see that they're setting up. This is going to be the first of many vehicles, because you could tell when you go to the ship.
I will spit out my drink. Vehicle types? We're talking
bro. When you go to the ship vendor, look. You got to go. That's where you go get the rev thing. You're going to see that they're setting up. It's like the first one. There's going to be multiple. So I'm telling people, man, I'm just going to pop off. I'm just going to hum at people. As I told people, it's going to be this in your life. You're going to be so annoyed with me. I just can't wait. I just can't wait to get back to what I love. So
give it a couple months when it's announced for another platform. And
they all of a sudden the dual sense makes it greater. They fixed it now. I don't care as long as you play it and stop fronting, because this game has a lot of potential and they're going extra hard with this Shattered Space. So I'm ready, man.
I should clarify real quick. Yes, I made that joke. I don't know if anything's happening in a couple months. I'm just making a joke. Yeah, I'm just making a joke.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I just want to be clear.
With a good high assumption rate.
I really don't know anything on this one, though.
But we had the Duke here. Don't clip this and be like, the Duke said it's we ain't doing that.
Yeah, I just had to be crystal clear, because I realized the way I delivered that is down like I knew.
Yeah. They'd be like, they gonna run with that.
I just remembered how the newsreel goes like, no, like I don't know.
Mr. Ratty Play said,
don't go all Jeff Grubb on me and like
class leaker.
I said something I
didn't. Good catch.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped about it, bro. Yo, like, look, I'm gonna join COG, a little bit of the bloviating. Look, when Todd Howard came outside and he was like, yeah, it's kind of like Far Harbor. That's all you needed to hear. That's all. I'm serious though. That's all you needed to hear. Far Harbor is like the greatest thing I think they've done. Like, it is so good. I don't want to oversell it too hard, but like, okay. When he said that, you know what it was to me? It wasn't just like the content. I was like, oh, he's kind of talking about maybe not, but I interpreted that way, the clapback. When Fallout 4 came out, similar shitstorm as Starfield, although less worse. It was just like, this isn't Fallout. Yes, it is. And back and forth. Starfield, though, was a shitstorm at launch, big time. And so they've endured all of that. They've put out a lot of great updates. I feel like the last two they've done, although I haven't tried out this most recent one, have been their best and their biggest and been the most impactful. Like the stuff that you and I talked about, like I was like, they need to drop more impactful updates. Like enough of the bug fixes. Like I think the game's there. It felt pretty tight at launch. So you deal with all of that. And like, dude, now you're going to say like, oh, Far Harbor style DLC. It's like, oh, okay. So you mean like the comeback style DLC where it's like, no, like, because the thing that happened with Fallout 4 that always blew my mind is people were like, they can't make an RPG experience in Creation Engine, which is, people think I over defend Creation Engine, but it's more like, I don't think people understand creation. I don't think people understand game engines in general. That's very obvious, but I don't think, and I'm not no fucking expert. Like, I don't know how Unity works, for example. But like, I don't think people get how engines work. And like, Creation Engine can very much support an RPG experience, like a deep choice of consequence focused one. And obviously the creations and the mods people make are proof of that. But more than anything, like Bethesda proved that with Far Harbor. They're like, here's skill checks, here's choice and consequence, here's multiple endings, like here's your hub area. It here's like better looking visuals compared, because it's like more compartmentalized, et cetera, et cetera. Like, dude, just That's a totally different ball game. Different ball game. So yeah, when he said Far Harbor, I was like, shit's gonna be next level. I'm so excited.
And it's what you said, compartmentalized, because again, one of the detractors from Starfield is the the oversaturation of the computer generated planets and all that stuff. Yeah. But when you get to focus on one area, right, and you get to build up something, that's when we're going to get what I think a lot of fans of Bethesda have been missing from Starfield. That was the legit criticism. Like, hey, I don't want to necessarily do all this stuff. I like when you go to these. What was my planet that had like the seedy underworld where Ryujin was at? I forgot the name.
Oh,
of the planet. Neon, right? Like I like when it's
a city name, but
yeah, what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah,
but it's just like when you get that concentration, when you could focus everything there and world build everything there, kind of like what Obsidian does well, right? So when Bethesda's game able to do that with a DLC, then we're going to get back to the strength. So I agree with you. I think that they've got something really cooking here. I cannot wait. I'm finishing up my playthrough right now. I got to redo my relationship with Age Veilguard because I'm trying to get that.
You gotta have that maxed
playthrough ready for this. That's where I'm at right now.
I gotta
get her back up to speed.
Her back up and get my save prepped as well. Yeah,
exactly.
Dude, I'm very excited. You know, sci-fi horror vibes. Like, I like that. It sounds like they're trying something different. I think it would have been very easy to be like, well, let's just do like the traditional BGS experience and just give them that. But to do sci-fi horror, I'm very curious because, like, there were some. I think Starfield story. I still love that story. I think it's their best story they've done, and I think some of the missions helped that a lot. Like, some of the missions were very unique. We talk about one in particular with like going back and forth. I fucking love that mission, but I gotta play Titanfall 2 before I solidify.
Titanfall is a goal. Yeah, but that was a good callback to something like that I've seen since Titanfall.
Yeah, but I do just the idea of, like, you mentioned the Terramorph mission. I was like, like that one was like you were stealthing, and I mentioned that in my first kind of impressions video on Starfield, where I was like, dude, I was stealthing in Starfield. It was the weirdest shit. I was like, I'm doing this, and like they in their games, like that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm curious to see how, like, now we get to see they know what Starfield is. How do they bend those systems that exist? And not to put the cart before the horse, but what was interesting about Fallout 4 was they did Far Harbor, and everyone was like, more of this. And they're like, all right, here's Nuka World, and it's more Fallout 4, and like not Far Harbor. And so a lot of people were like, oh man, like only kill dungeons and stuff. So I wonder if they're gonna keep the expansions in line with kind of like.
To your credit, not to interrupt, I mean, you had the God Howard interview. He kind of alluded that they want a cadence of kind of
they're going to do another, but I'm like, what is the content going to be? Because, like, I feel like there's a number of ways they could go. I feel like one of these content drops or expansions has to be about, like, places of interest, filling out this galaxy more, like things to find. I just don't know how you do it. Like, you have so many planets. It's like, even if you did one per planet, you still have to make 1,000 locations. So I hope they figure something out, because that is Starfield's greatest weakness. Is like, I, as someone who loves exploring in the games, doesn't want to explore Starfield. And that's the problem. I get that. But if you put something interesting on the surface, I'll run there or I'll drive there 100%. So absolutely. I wonder if they target that with like an expansion. I'm just so curious to see what they do.
That's a good point. Yeah, if they could tackle that and make that aspect of the game interesting, almost in a No Man's Sky kind of way. If you're going to have all this computer generation with these planets, you better do something really cool to get people to want to do that, right? Yeah. So besides just, make an outpost.
Yeah. No Man's Sky is a great comparison, because that was like a game that felt very vacant, and they built it out so much that it's like so robust, so contentful. I can see Starfield getting there.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm looking excited for the future.
Same here. I'm also excited for the future of Fallout, especially if Josh Sawyer's involved. He says he would actually work on Fallout without constraints. It was in a little Q&A video he did. Not like it confirms that they're going to do it, but it shows that the question was, like, Josh Sawyer, the vibe I got from our man when we did the interview with him was like, I'm tired, I've done my part, and I'm not like I'm coasting till retirement, more like I'm not trying to direct any big projects again. So him saying like, yeah, I would work on Fallout, but like it would be like, what can I do that's new? I feel like he's definitely talented enough, as he's shown many times in his career, to have earned that trust. Obsidian obviously knows Fallout intimately. They were there for the birth of it more than Bethesda was. So I feel like interest is there. I mean, dude, this thing, Obsidian just keeps like lobbing these things out. Because what I find interesting is I always found it curious why Josh Sawyer fields these types of questions. Because he went through a stretch where he stopped, because he just, like, people kept asking. He's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm pretty sure because like it was just making headlines. He's like, I'm just trying to interact with people who want to know more about my thoughts or game development, that sort of thing. And so for him to kind of just pluck this out, like, gotta wonder sometimes.
Yeah, no, he's willing to take the challenge of the question. So yeah, I did see that clip. I got a vibe of creative control. And that's my only concern is that, look, Josh is the man. We love Josh, right? But he's a strong-minded individual. He's a very intelligent individual. And his thing is like, hey, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be my way and we're going to do something different. You could tell he is not intellectually excited by doing the same things
Yeah,
over
like
and
making
over
Fallout 4 again or Starfield Tech and Fallout. Like it's got to be something different.
It's got to be. And my concern is, you know, you go one of the goats of the Black Rock. That's our guy. I don't know if Todd gonna let you do that. I'm just gonna keep it. Gar Howard is. See, that's the thing with these two, and I started to see the inner dynamics, the inner workings. Is that look, God Howard is God Howard, and he wants his imprint and his vision. And I'm not sure if the personalities would work. They would have to really be some compromise there. So there's a part of me that's like, probably not going to happen. I have this funny feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get a sense from Josh, man. Like he's one of them. He's one of them guys, man. He's really
for
is.
Sure,
and,
for sure.
And Obsidian, and you look at Furquas, and you look at, you know, Carrie seems cool. And now that I'm getting more in tune with Obsidian now, because, you know, I'm rocking with the Black Rock. You know, I've been in the building now. Now I'm getting close to the team. And I do feel that they're open, they're friendly, they're cool, but they're us. Like we are who we are. We know what we do, and we're good at it, right? And my concern is that with the success of Fallout and how big it is, right? And then now Todd's got Indiana Jones's imprint on that, right? He's got that going on. There's a part of me that's like, Bethesda's like, no, we good. We good. Y'all got that. Y'all do y'all. I do think it's a friendly in competition rival. I
wonder.
I do feel it, bro.
I can see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel that even though Obsidian is more olive branchy these days, I still feel like this is time like this our stuff right here, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We do what we want, you know, kind of thing. So I would love it though. I would love it.
Yeah, I'm of two minds because I think on one hand I agree with you. On the other, we've seen Todd in different executive producer roles, like in this last year, in different manners. Like we know he did the story for Indiana Jones. Like he had the idea and the vision for the game and came to Machine Games with that.
Yep.
And just like, can you make this? Right.
Impressive.
Versus the TV show, which sounds like he was pitched an idea and they were like, yeah, this works. And they just kind of helped massage, like, here's how things should look. Here's how things should sound, feel, that sort of thing. And I wonder if you'd get that. See, that's the version of Todd we know that is working in partnership with something in Fallout, which, by the way, was totally foreign to it at the time, like TV show, versus another game creator. Like, I feel like the leash gets a little longer there. It's like, you know, we know what this is. It's really not, it doesn't need to be spelled out. I wonder if the only rule would be you have to make this on Creation Engine tech.
That part.
And I wonder if Josh is like, well, no, I want to do it. Like my vision is on Unreal Engine 5. Does it come down to something as literally simple as that before they even get started? Or is it like, I want to do this with VATS? He's like, no, you can't do that.
Exactly. Could you see Josh? Could you see Todd accepting Josh say, I want to do Fallouts without any constraints, his baby without any constraints? That's a strong statement.
I guess when you frame it like that, I still am 50-50. I feel if you are in the business of like trying to find, which we learned from certain interviews, like trying to find new homes for Fallout, trying to get more out there more often, you have to go to sources that can be trusted. Like Josh Sawyer's not going to be in the industry forever. Eventually you will have to find another Obsidian of some kind, unless that talent that's ushered right there and growing right there can now work on Fallout again, potentially. But like right now you have people in the building who are on a ticking time bomb, if you will, of like, they're out soon. And you can at least hand off one Fallout game, an iconic Fallout game, might I add, and follow that up. I think if you're going to give anyone trust, it's got to be them, because it's like, hey, I mean, at least right now, the rumor would be like New Vegas 2. Like, hey,
fire.
You know, can you guys just follow this up? Like, if that's the only constraint, and I think Josh can be like, all right, it's a Western Fallout. Like, where do we set this? I feel like they can make it work. And I feel like if you're Xbox, who has to facilitate that relationship, you fucking make it work. It's like, oh, like, all right, Josh, you don't want to direct this. Who does? Like, I think that's where it goes. But I would love to have Josh at the top, because I think, like, dude, like, it's Josh fucking Sawyer. Like, come on.
Sawyer, bro.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Look, I'm with you. I love the idea, you know, of these great minds collaborating. We know what they can do. You know, I finished talking to Colin, and he's still bloviating about, Pentiment and how great it is. And I was like, oh, thank you. Now that you see what we talk about, welcome aboard. You know what I'm saying? We tried to tell y'all that there's games over here, but it goes to show you. So no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that if Xbox could somehow facilitate it, and both parties are willing to entertain it, why not? Especially the Fallout series is literally the de facto series right now in Xbox. Like that is the prime IP.
Yeah. That and Elder Scrolls, I think.
Absolutely.
When Elder Scrolls 6 comes around, I think we have a question about it.
Yeah,
that's going to be like massive. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's see here. Next up here is Square Enix games on Xbox. There was a new interview with Eurogamer. It was featuring the Final Fantasy XIV producer and director Naoki Yoshida. And they talked about wanting to strengthen the community on Xbox towards the Final Fantasy franchise with the following quote: "With Final Fantasy XIV as an opportunity, we can take this opportunity to strengthen the community on Xbox towards the Final Fantasy franchise. I think this is where we would take more communication and work on establishing the community moving forward. And this is important, not for Final Fantasy XIV, but I would say for Square Enix," end quote. We have a write-in here from Aaron Shepard, who says, "Hey, Double Ds, what do you think about Yoshi P's recent comments on Square Enix doubling down on Xbox releases? Could this be the shot in the arm for Xbox's Japanese market? Too little, too late, or simply addressing COG's concerns about Xbox feeling lesser than?" COG, what are our thoughts here? Thank you for writing in, Aaron.
I'm still standing on it. It's happening. It's just slow. They're still, the problem right now is I think they still haven't gotten the PC port of like Final Fantasy 16 and all that stuff yet, right?
Yeah.
So the vibe I'm getting is just a little bit slow with the porting. But when you make these type of statements that you're looking to further deepen the relationship with Xbox, you're still saying to me that you're on track for this stuff happening. So this is one of those situations that, he said what he said. He's speaking to Eurogamer. He said that players have been waiting for a long time for the Xbox release, but it's had a really strong response with communities growing on the platform. So they're noting it. They know that they want it. And I think it's going to happen. It's just, again, porting takes time for them. And I think they probably working still in that cadence of the PlayStation stuff that happened, all the DLC that's finished. Now let's get the PC joint and hopefully, whatever. Now I think Jez put this out so I could talk about it. That he's expecting. He's expecting. He was like, I don't, not that you would have to wait long, but he was like, it's definitely still kind of happening. And then we had another source, I believe, that was pretty solid. What was it? Nate he was like, it's happening kind of thing. So now that, some two
16
trusted
on Xbox, you mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So it's definitely happening. I'm not worried about it. I feel like
that was firmed up the second there was like a question mark about the sales. Like it just fell, and then they committed to Xbox. I was like, PC and then Xbox. Like it's just...
this is happening. And 16 is the one that I put a timeout on my PlayStation playthrough because, first of all, a lot of games came out at the same time. And I was like, all right, I want to play all this stuff. And then in my back of my mind, I'm like, it's going to happen. Because I remember when I saw them on stage, I don't care what anybody said, that was the number one visual indicator that there is no problems with new leadership at Square and Xbox. And now this is going to happen. But ports do take time, y'all. We have to be honest, right? Yeah. Getting a port over, unless you were working on it from back then, and it definitely didn't seem like they were. So I'm going to see the clock started from that point on. And now the porting is how I look at it.
Yeah, you have to assume so. The one that I've scratched my head at still is the re-release of Pixel Remastered. That doesn't make sense. Like, that really just, I think is unacceptable. Like it. Unacceptable. Sorry. I just I don't know how that happens. Like if you're Xbox, like, we're re-releasing this thing again, and it's the same platforms as before. What?
Yeah. That surprised me that it wasn't with the second release, but again, porting, maybe that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know their resources and how big they are as far as that. But I agree. I was like, damn, it ain't still in here.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with Square Enix on Xbox. For me, I think it's just a matter of, Xbox needs to cover a lot of ground here. I think they're an important piece of the puzzle moving forward. Having Final Fantasy on your box moving forward is a good way to make sure Japanese gamers feel included on what Xbox provides. And so I hope that that continues on. And I'm curious to see what else comes from this, because it sounds like they keep talking about relationships deepening, and I do wonder what comes from that.
Interesting.
Next bit of Xbox news, and then we're on to some more general gaming news. Sea of Thieves sold 1 million copies on PS5. Pretty crazy, dude. But I mean, did you expect that kind of number? I do.
No.
Like when I heard it was doing well, I was like, it's a couple 100,000.
Yeah. This is impressive, and this emboldens people. This emboldens, people to do more of porting and bringing things over to PlayStation 5. But yeah, for how old is Sea of Thieves? More than 7 years? I don't even know. Like
2017 it released.
Wow, 7 joints. You like, yeah, that speaks volumes. That again, this is beyond the what you call it, of the echo chamber that is social media. The reality is people bought this 7-year-old game and got enjoyment of it. So I expect more when they have good data points like this to port over, especially multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very shocked to see this because, again, I did not expect the number to be so high, but it communicates one thing that you've said a lot of times before, Cog, which is that the games are there. People want these games and they're not willing to move platforms. And so it does kind of justify something Xbox was saying, is that there is a lot of growth in going elsewhere. And as much as I was, battling about what's going on with Indiana Jones more from an optical point of view, it's also what I said about, like, people are like, Xbox is dying. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. They're making a shit ton of money. And
the other platforms are feeding that their fishing.
Yeah, like it's fucking crazy. So yeah, man, it's I'd be really interested to see how those numbers stack to like what Xbox sales would be. I know we'll never get those numbers just because of how Xbox shares their data, but really congrats to Rare. I mean, that's got to be great. That they probably needed that shot in the arm when you think of how long Everwild's been in development for, to be able to be like, yeah, people still like our stuff and want our stuff, and they will pay for it. It was a good sign, especially with, we talked about all the new versions that were coming out when they were releasing it. So that is a good sign to see that Sea of Thieves did so well, but no word on numbers for other games. So
yes, look them grounded numbers too.
Yeah. Next bit of news here, Cog. Deadlock is announced by Valve. This has been soft announced for a while. Like, it leaked. There were gameplay screenshots. There was that whole thing with Tom Warren. Like, I did not click OK. I clicked X. Therefore, I did not agree to any sort of NDA, which fucking, by the way, I like Tom Warren, but that's fucking wild, bro. If I did that, I'd get ejected out of the fucking industry in a heartbeat. That is a wild abuse of, like, yeah, I work for The Verge. Like, you're going to hate me for a week and that's going to be it. Like, everyone's acting like nothing happened. I'm like, yo, if I did that, I'd be fucking canceled in a heartbeat.
It'd be a wrap for us.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a wrap.
If anyone's wondering how the scales are tipped, just fucking look at that, bro. That was insanity. I'm walking around like, yeah, bro, I hit X.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo, not to zoom in. Oh, man.
I hit the X button. I didn't click the NDA. It's like, bro, what? What
you gonna do about it?
I kind of respect the balls.
I respect the gangster. He put the screenshot up too.
I respect it. He totally owned it, and that's why I'm like, I'm not pissed. I'm just like, dude, I'm more pissed that I know I would have gotten fucking kicked out of the industry for that. But nonetheless, that's the only kind of news that was floating around Deadlock. Now it's been announced by Valve, and it's funny, the message changed, and Tom Warren addressed that as well, because now it's like, share with your friends. he's like, yeah, that's right. I respect the victory lap too,
bro. That was gangster. Yeah. I was like, yo, he's popping off with this whole situation.
I respect it. I respect the balls on it. But yeah, they announced it. It's a third-person MOBA, and I'm excited, dude. I love me a good MOBA. Predecessor just went into 1.0. I'll talk about Smite 2 in a little bit, and now we got Deadlock available. So I got a slew of options here, and I don't know which way I'm going to go, but I will definitely be checking this one out. Cog, any thoughts on Deadlock?
Just that play account. Damn.
I know. Already? That was with, like, invite only, by the way.
Invite only.
So yeah, if like someone gets a copy on Steam, then they can invite their friend. And so then it's a chain thing. So
it's a chain, yeah.
Yeah, the player count's pretty impressive when you look at it that way, especially in comparison to a certain hero shooter.
Hero shooter that Concord, that we just did a crossover with Colin about. Jesus. Like, they have 40,000. Woo. Yeah, that's impressive, man. So yeah, and think about it, was really no fanfare as far as like a marketing beat, and this is just, it's out, this is Valve, come check it out. And to have that kind of engagement and that peak is pretty impressive. And we know live service, that's why live service is so tough. It's a crapshoot, but goes to show you, people really, really want this thing. So yeah, it's up there, man.
Absolutely. All right, Cog, 2 more bits of news. We'll talk about what games we're playing. First one, fell to my knees when I saw this. Lies of P sequel may be open world according to job listings. And that rubs me the wrong way, bro. I was reading, like, when this leaked, I was, I found it on Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors, and I was like, let me see what other people like. Normally I just kind of do my own thing, but I was like, I got to know if I'm crazy for how I'm feeling right now. I was like reading the comments, and so many people are like, yeah, this just, I don't know, like I'm a little nervous about them going open world. It also feels like way too big a step for where they were at and where they're going. I'm like, look, you had a very big success here in Lies of P, but like it's a game of inches, brother. Like, don't go too far with it. Like, let's keep the victories rolling. Cause like to me, at any FromSoft competitor, it's Lies of P, man. Like they're at the top.
Yeah.
They're at the absolute top. So that linear style was so good. The level design was so good. The art style was so good. So like I trust that they know what they're doing. I trusted my man, Rookie of the Year, Ji-Won Choi, director of Lies of P. So he knows what he's doing. I will trust in his very talented hands. But I was not over the moon when I saw this. I was like, that was the thing that like Elden Ring is a special video game, but in the terms of like Souls likes, I don't know how high I would actually rank it. Like it's a high open world game, but in a Souls like, not so much. In Lies of P, though, is like a true Souls like. So I love that it's that kind of linear style, and I feel like that's what makes the genre special. So we'll see, but I'll keep an open mind. They definitely study the playbook of From Software very closely. And so I'm sure they played Elden Ring and went, all right, what did they do there? Like, go to page 200. Yeah, do that. Because if you play Lies of P, the only critique I think you could say is that they lift. And it's the same thing I talked about with like developers lifting from movies. Like they lift. No doubt Ji-Won Choi and the team lift when it comes to From Software's games.
I like that verbiage, lift.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm with you. I was very surprised when I saw. I was like, man, interesting, because as a person who doesn't play Souls likes, and I was like, all right, Maddie's telling me, he's bragging, he's going crazy. Let me at least do the first opening joint just to see what the hype is. And I was like, oh no, this is polished. This is fire. This has a narrative. That's my issue also too with the From joints. It's like, the lore is kind of all over the place. You got to find it in the games. I know there's lore there. Don't come for me, Souls, Realm of the Souls lores, our Dukes. I know y'all. But, for a guy that likes it kind of more in your face, and, I felt that Lies of P really did a good job. Now, I'm worried about, does it take away from the charm of the game? And look, I will say this, though. If they're going to lift from the playbook, I'm looking at what's going on with Wukong right now. And then I'm seeing a little pushback, like, I'm not really, this is just a boss rush game. Oh, it's beautiful, but it's bossed and corridor. I can only go off one little path here. So people are starting to push back. And there's a part of me that's like, well, is that the Erd Tree and the Elden Ring effect, in the sense that like now From has spoiled us with this open world? And we have to admit, as a person who doesn't play these games like that, when I played Elden Ring, there is a thing that's like, okay, I can't beat you right now, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna go elsewhere, right? And I think maybe that's what they're looking at, and they're saying, you know what, we're gonna lift that part and give Austin, because one thing I get from them is they on some like, we could do it better than y'all energy. That's the vibe I got from Lies of P. Like,
that's fair. That's a good read.
We are refined. We are we could do a narrative in this game. So there's a part of me that's like, yo, let me see them cook. Let me just see what it is. And let's see if they pull it up. And we got to admit, the whole story of Pinocchio, that's a dope storyline. The way they flip that.
Do you know what they're doing in the sequel?
What they doing?
Oh no, I can't. I'm not gonna say. It's a
you can't, because I already know.
So wait till you see that.
So that's what I'm saying. If they got too excited about the potential where it can go, you got now this open world with a dope storyline. If maybe they pull it off, maybe they do. I am worried, because I like the charm of it being linear, but there's a part of me that's like, yo, watch out for these dudes. They going punching above their weight, and they like, yo, we could go with the champ.
No. And that's a fair point, because they do. I do think in certain areas they outdo From Software. Like I really do. And so there is a level of that. I get the complaints of, I haven't played Black Myth Wukong, but I get those kind of complaints where maybe they come from Elden Ring. But I feel like Lies of P had really good exploration. Like it was very like, same thing as a From Software game, like hidden walls, going into buildings, like loot behind really tough enemies, like the rewarding stuff that these games are known for. Like they study them down to a science, which makes me curious if they study Elden Ring to a science, what they come up with. So we'll see. But I mean, yeah, they're a special team. You could just tell from Lies of P that they're going to make great things. So I wouldn't put myself in the concern category where I'm like, this is a change I'm scared of, is what I would define.
Of course, I'm with you. When I read that, I felt for you. I'm like, man, I know how Maddie feels. And it would be the way you feel about this would be the equivalent if, like, when Avowed was like, we were thinking about old world, and they were like, nah, let's go back. But imagine if Avowed just stayed to that, and it's like, I don't know, you kind of good at the hub world density kind of thing. So I feel you. It's a legit concern, but let's keep an eye on it. This is a fun one.
Yeah. Well, what you should also keep an eye on is your celebrity, Shadow the Hedgehog, aka Keanu Reeves, because Sega is asking Yakuza and Like a Dragon fans if they want celebs like Keanu Reeves and Mark Hamill in their next game. So, Cog, as the bona fide Yakuza boy, what do you think about these celebs showing up in your game? Go ahead, Cog. Let's hear. You want to hear like a Yakuza talk like Keanu Reeves? I bet you do.
Look, it depends on the context, because was it my man? Oh, you didn't play Infinite Wealth, but I think my man Danny Trejo was in one of the boss joints. Well, a very popular voice actor was one of the Barracuda leaders in the joint, and he killed it. He absolutely cooked. For people who play Infinite Wealth, y'all know what I'm talking about. Is the scene when you're going into level District 5 and you find out who's one of these sub bosses and he's a problem. But look, I'm torn because there's a part of me that doesn't like the way that sounds. You just got to start throwing names around and just putting, big names and stuff, especially people who've kind of already got a lot of opportunities. No disrespect to Keanu. He's been around. He's in a lot of games already. So, me, I'm more probably leaning towards the fresh faces or stars, celebs that we have not seen, and that are good, that make sense and that are good fit. So that's where I'm at. I don't necessarily need it to sell a game kind of thing, but, we'll see. I'm open-minded with Yakuza only in the simple fact that they're kind of silly, they're goofy, they have some fun, they get serious when they need to, kind of thing. But it's not a need for me. Just make sure it's the right person for the role and it sounds good. That's
I agree. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing either of them. Just make sure they fit.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Cog. It's time to get into what games we are playing. I have a long list, so I want to hear from you first, good sir.
Yeah. I've been a little sad, man. I had a lot of time with 33 Immortals on next beta. I'm obviously part of the Xbox Insider program. I can talk about it.
Yeah.
And this time I can talk about it. But look, I really like this game. This game is definitely what I consider pick up and raid. Like just ease of you want to get in there. It has a little bit of a Hades vibe, a little bit of Diablo vibe. It is very challenging. It is extremely. I had to get feedback. I was like, man, I mean, look, I'm all for the difficulty, but this is punishing. Like the tutorial, once you start to learn your skills, and there's different classes and stuff. Right now, I like the arrow class. So basically, you draw the bow. First of all, very art style, very kind of stoic, Banner Saga-y with that kind of art style and animation that you can customize your guy. But the bow thing, so basically I could shoot 3 like magical arrows, right? They pierce through the target and then they stop in certain places on the map and they stay fixated. And then at any point I can pull those back and then have them double damage the enemy if they're in the line of path. I love the play style. You got your little dash, you got cooldowns on your dash, and then you got super abilities with other players. You can do kind of combo attacks and stuff like that. Simplistic, but it actually works. That is like a whole economy system. So you start off, you're in purgatory. It's all death and hell. Your soul died, and this is your chance to resurrect and fight to be immortal or whatever it is. So it's you're in like the depths of hell kind of stuff. The game starts off with this brutal tutorial, which there's no way you can beat it. It forces you to die, and then you go to the section where you play with other players. But new biome they debuted, so this one was kind of like you're in the Garden of Eden. One of the bosses is Adam and Eve, bro. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah, bro. They got something here. 33 Immortals got something here. All I would say is either tweak the difficulty a little bit or scale it, because I don't think it scales when you have more players or whatever, because some of these battles is tough, bro. Like, these is really challenging. But it's a great game. So I everything I'm seeing, it's still on track. Can't wait. I think they had a sit down at Gamescom explaining that they are taking the feedback as far as the difficulty. They want to have a nice balance. They still want it to be challenging, though. They don't want it to be like this easy walk in the park kind of thing. But this is what I would consider pick up and raid the game with great abilities, great customization. And yeah, the Xbox might have one with this one. I'm telling you. This is the one Phil been playing. Phil be giving them feedback on the team.
He Phil plays, Spencer, gamer, right?
Yeah, he was on the sitting down on the preview show with the devs. I was like, okay, so this is a good one. So shout out to them. And then, of course, man, I had to support, man.
That's what the shirt's from.
I had to support, baby. It's that Capcom, that Kunitsigami, that path. I'm on my new Game Plus. I can't stop playing it. I just can't. It is really good. So what I did now is before I did New Game Plus, basically what the game does, which is dope, is each mission that you've beaten already, you can replay with these challenges. And these challenges give you this key resource because the way the game is constructed, you cannot upgrade all the village archetypes. You can't do all that. You can't upgrade your character to the fullest. And I'm like, man, before I do the New Game Plus, I wanted to knock that out. So these challenges are good. Some of them are beating bosses at a time played. Some of them are putting really unique modifiers. And what I did is a couple of those to build up that currency to allow me to upgrade. And now I've started my New Game Plus. Bro, this is a challenge. So yeah, off the top, you will see enemies that you saw later in the game up in the early stages like, yeah, what's up? Now you keep all your abilities and stuff that you had, so you are powerful. But man, it is a challenge. And what I like now is, if for people who think it's too easy, they got some modifiers for you. They got some weird stuff where Yushiro, the goddess, can be killed in one hit, where you can be killed in one hit. Now there's only one class that I have to give them a little feedback that I still don't really necessarily. And people who play this game, please tell me if I'm wrong. It's the priest class. So it's just like priesting, and apparently what he could do is like if any of your villagers get possessed, he can take the possession off them. But this mechanic doesn't happen enough in the game for me to warrant using this class and spending it. And apparently, I guess when people get aggressive, the enemy are called Seethe. The very aggressive ones that try to overwhelm, apparently he could slow them down. I put this man in the matter. I'm like, yo, what are you doing, fam? They overrunning us. I don't see your purpose here. So you are not getting used. So please, someone who uses priest, tell me how to use this thing correctly. Because as far as I'm concerned, bro, the ninja class,
of course,
he OP. He literally he could take grounded enemies. He could fight on aerial enemies. Then what I love about him, he's kind of like you in the sense that he could, like when the Torii gates open and the monsters come in on the stage, he could go up into the mix. But what I like is when stuff gets past and gets to the front line, gets to the goddess, he could teleport and go back. And I've got him max now that if he dies, he gets an extra life. He is ridiculous. Highly recommended. As soon as you unlock him, max him, his skill tree all the way to the top. Him, Sumo, don't sleep on the aesthetic, because the aesthetic does this golden thing, like his aura, and anything, enemy in the aura, including bosses, gets slow. One of my favorite combos is the aesthetic sorcerer guy with the Sumo, because the aesthetic slows them, then the Sumo does the stomp, the clap, does resist damage, shatters, and if you got a sorcerer, that's another one. OP. You just wait. He's like a meter waiting to happen. You just let him build up he's doing his little chants and his little things. He builds his thing up. Once you press that right trigger, that cinema happened, and that boss, it's like a Final Fantasy summon. When that summon happens, he wipes out everything on the map, including bosses, and they get shook. And man, I love this game. This game, yeah, it's up there. I want the true ending, because I did take a sneak peek of who you have to deal with to get the true ending, and then release my goddess and give her the proper ending that I need. So that's my basic. I do like a stage a night, and I'm playing one other thing, but I'll talk about the other game later. But yeah, it's good to be back playing games, different games and stuff like that. But these are my two right now. And until the big boys come, and then obviously Starfields and the murderer's row. So I'm just trying to knock out all my little games out the way, including stuff like that. But what you been rocking?
Yeah, I got a lot done this last week. A lot. Way more than I ever expected. But I finished Space Marines 1, like I mentioned in our last episode of Duke, on the flight home. So I finished the first one in preparation for the second one. and I thought it was pretty good. I really liked the story. It got cooking at the end, is why I say I like the story, because like the whole way through, it's kind of like devoid of any interesting characters or plot elements. It's not until you get to, I'd say, the final act and what happens at the ending that you realize, like, oh, there's a cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger completely. And it was there. I realized, like, wow, the amount of fans who had to wait like 14 years for a sequel is crazy, right? So this sequel is a big deal, and the fact that it exists, like, it's just all these years later. It came from Relic and THQ to now Focus Home Interactive. So very excited to play the sequel. But yeah, it had a lot of Gears of War energy, hack and slash combos. At the same time, you had like chain swords. You get health by executing enemies. There were a lot of cool power weapons. I didn't like how the balancing was done, where like I couldn't just kind of pick up and use whatever weapons I wanted whenever. They only swap with specific weapon types. So if like I had, like Halo, I can drop my pistol for a sniper rifle if I wanted to. And this game is like, oh, you're dropping this sniper, you can only pick up that sniper. Like I can't drop that for an extra assault rifle. Yeah, it's not great. They definitely needed quality of life enhancements there. Because you can only get your health back by executing enemies, sometimes you'll like go for the execution and you'll still be able to take damage. And the execution animation is like so long, and I'm like beating someone over the head and taking a ton of damage while it's happening, where I'm like, why would I execute to get my health back? And there's no other way to get health back. So some encounters were very frustrating.
There's no invulnerability state during the execution?
Nope.
Oh, that's whack.
Yeah, I know.
Why would you do that?
I know. Yeah. They do give you a Fury ability, so you just pretty much can one-hit anything. Your health does start to regen automatically, but that doesn't build up super quickly. Like it, you need to kill a lot of enemies. So that kind of leads to the final act also being a little annoying with like the final fight especially sucks as far as I'm concerned. But flawed fun game. Enjoyed it for what it was. 6-hour campaign. Good playing game if anyone's looking for that. I played like an hour of the way there, and then proceeded to like try to stay awake. But then on the flight home, I had much more energy, and so I played for a good like 4 hours, and then finished it when I got home on my computer. Next game. I didn't think I'd have time for this one. I got my review code right when we went out to LA. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. Star Wars Outlaws, and what's up?
I saw your video. Talk about it.
Yeah. I was not crazy about this one, but I think I'm coming from a different angle from what I think a lot of the outrage on the internet's about, which we know. So I'm not going to really address it. But for me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Maybe people already know, but if you don't, my favorite game of all time is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and I adore this franchise. I really do. I'm not foolishly adoring it, as in I watched 5 episodes of The Acolyte, and I was like, I got further than most people probably did who shit on that show. I was like, this isn't good. Like the series has been a lot of up and down. But then I play something like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's that peak Star Wars. Like, that's the shit I love. That's arguably the best thing that's happened to Star Wars since Rogue One. Like, it's so good. But Star Wars has been a lot of that, like up, down, up, down. And admittedly, I say this as a massive fan. I haven't seen Andor yet, so I got to right that wrong this year. Anyway, Star Wars Outlaws, despite all of the shitting of this game online, I just ignored it, because for me, I heard Ubisoft, who can make a respectable open world, and that this is an open world Star Wars game. And I was like, you know what? If this is a hard 7 out of 10 Ubisoft template open world, I will probably love this game. What's funny is it was almost like it was fate deeming I would not be able to like this game, because some of the things that cropped up on a design and mechanics level were so stunning to me. I was like, how did this choice get made? And what I left my experience with after 22 hours, when I finished the story and a bunch of the side content, was like, man, this could easily be a 9 out of 10 game. It really could be. I'm not exaggerating. It really could. It's that close to being that good, but misses the mark just that little on that many things to lower it significantly to being like one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me. Where I'm like, man, outside of the visuals on the worlds, by the way, it is a game that has a lot of potential. And I don't know, we have a write-in about it, so I'll address it now. Fernando Amagon writes in, hello there, fellow peasant Maddie and 1%er Cog. Seeing all the mixed reviews for Star Wars Outlaws has me wondering if any patches can make this game worthwhile to me. The AI is bad, gunplay has no weight, and syndicate factions are easy to please. I had my doubts on this game, and seeing your impressions has me staying away. Do you think Ubisoft rushed this game too quickly, Or are you both worried for Assassin's Creed Shadows? I hope Maddie gets back on Xbox's good graces so we can get that penthouse suite like Master Kong kind of day.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's hilarious. Oh, man.
Yeah, so you listed out a lot of issues with the game, Fernando, right? You mentioned the AI is bad. That was one thing. I am a fan of many a buggy, janky game, as you all know. I just mentioned my favorite game is KOTOR, and like that game's janky. Like I'm not gonna not say that it's not. Like it is. So I'm very forgiving with that stuff, but I had the clips to prove it. I was like showing it in my review. I put it on my Twitter when I was like posting my thoughts. I was like, hey, like this is what I was kind of dealing with. And you had like stormtroopers just floating in the air on the speeder bike, and there was conflict going on around me, but they just weren't shooting at me, even though I was like detected. Stuff like that, dude. Like it breaks on itself constantly. So yeah, there's a level of patching and polish that can be done here to make those things bearable. I disagree with gunplay not having weight. Gunplay actually feels pretty good. This is from Massive. They made The Division. So I think gunplay feels great. It's little decisions like you can't hold on to your extra weapon. So all you have is this blaster pistol because you're a scoundrel. And I get what they were going for, which is like, you're not a Jedi. You're not like a soldier. You can't have weapons of war on you. And I was like, I get all of that. But the game in turn equips you with nothing. So all you have is this pistol. It's got multiple modes, plasma shot, standard damage. You can modify that like rapid. There's the ion, which is for like droids. And then there's burst, which is just for more AoE damage. You charge a shot, hit multiple enemies. Now you can also pick up weapons from like you've seen in Star Wars before. You pick up snipers, E11 blaster rifles, et cetera, et cetera. And like those feel great and they do a ton of damage. And what's funny is they have, number one, extremely limited ammo. But you think, Cog, as I'm describing this, when I say pick up a weapon, what do you think happens? Do you think I keep it? Like I'm picking it up, right? But what happens is if you run out of ammo, you drop it. So there's no replenishing them. If I interact with anything, climb a ladder, enter a vent, if I do anything, interact with the terminal, you drop your weapon and you're back to the pistol. So I'm wondering, can that be patched? Because that's like, you're able to pick it up, but is there a way that Ubisoft can let us eventually store these weapons, give them, I don't know, ammo counts or whatever? I don't know, but giving you more options in combat beyond the blaster pistol would significantly improve the game. Because what they do, I actually didn't mention this in my review, because I'm connecting the dots now. What they do as a sort of failsafe is they'll have stormtroopers running at you, and they'll just have these conveniently placed explosive barrels everywhere littered for you. So you don't shoot the stormtroopers, you just shoot barrel. And I'm like, this is boring, man. You guys have way better weapons. So on the guns go flying sections of the game, they really limit you. And a lot of people are like, all right, well, I can kind of live with that. And okay, fair play. The problem is the force stealth sections. This is what I was talking about with like the things I didn't anticipate in this game that really went south for me. There were certain things I did anticipate could have gone south that did, but this was not one. When I did my preview, there were 4 stealth sections. I was like, it's tough to, like, you and I have done a dozen previews. Like, it's tough to walk out of those very small snippets and go, I didn't really like something.
Right.
Like something has to really go wrong. And like it did. I remember saying in my preview, I was like, I don't really know about this stealth. I was like, you know, I stayed reserved. I was like, all right, let me see how it goes. Cause I don't know if they're going to give me more tools. If that was like a one-time thing, I couldn't get caught. What's the whole game? It's the whole game, bro. Every stealth section, they're like, they'll give you an objective. It'll say, don't raise the alarm. Don't alert the guards. And if you alert them, there are some really bad checkpoints in this game where you'll get caught and get like sent all the way out of the mission area and have to redo it. Like boneheaded 90s, early 2000s type of gameplay design where I'm like, this is so, it's so anti-Ubisoft. I'm like, this is not what you guys do. You guys are all about like, play how you want to play, like approach it how you want to approach it. Like you do that very well. Why didn't you do that here? Like I don't.
Pretty strange, yeah, very strange.
That's why my review, like I didn't get any comments I saw like it, but I wasn't trying to rage bait when I was like, this game made me angry because I was like, why did you do this? Like you had the layup, like you just had to do what you did with Frontiers of Pandora. I'm not even an Avatar fan, but there was something there. It was like you just had it right there. Do what you did with Far Cry. Like you repeated the open world template and gameplay design there 6 times in a row, pretty much. Like you had no problem with doing it there. So why did you get away from it here in a game that needed it most and your gameplay systems demanded it most? If you're going to make stealth a primary pillar of your gameplay, you cannot give me a choke out and a single stun shot as my only options. And that single stun shot, it replenishes once a minute. And you feel this, it's not like I'm crawling through locations like 4 enemies. It'll be like 15, 20. And if the alarm goes off, the mission either fails or you get overrun and you don't have enough weapons to defend yourself. It's a terrible gameplay loop. And the frustrating thing is it's not terrible because I'm like, man, this just straight up sucks. It's like, this is like an inch in so many different directions, as you've all heard, as I've described it, from being way better. And if it was way better, the missions have been good. I really kind of enjoyed parts of the story, although it was familiar. I was like, hey, compared to Ubisoft stories, at least I'm kind of into this whole Syndicate Underground thing. My only complaint with it is it veers right into like, how can we match this in with like the movies and the characters you know and love? Like, oh, let's make it a Rebel Empire story. I'm like, fuck, man, come on. Like, that was the only thing. I wanted more of like a Star Wars bounty hunter, a Star Wars 1313 driven kind of like, this is just about the underbelly, the criminal underbelly of Star Wars. And you do get a lot of that. And that is one of the good parts of this game. The motion capture is terrible. Again, y'all know I'm not like I was just complimentary of Mass Effect Andromeda, but like, look, man, I do think this game has moments where it is Andromeda level. Some people are like, well, Andromeda's not that bad, man. I'm talking launch Andromeda, where Andromeda was that stiffness.
My face is tired.
Yeah, that type of stiffness. Nowadays, Andromeda, because of a lot of patches and feedback, BioWare fixed some of it, not all of it, but fixed some of it, so it is a little more redeemable. But I think people forget what launch Andromeda looked like, and Outlaws does look launch level Andromeda bad in a lot of areas, by the way. That was the clip I shared was not a cherry pick. And no one, again, I didn't see anyone accuse me of that, but just to be clear, if anyone's thinking it, that was not a cherry pick. Like, this one scene here looks bad. I noticed it over and over, and that was one of the worst I saw, where I was like, what the hell happened? You know, like, this is unacceptable. So yes, to Fernando's question, patches can fix some of this. I'm curious how deep they go, because if they go into the roots of the design, I would re-review this game 100%, because I feel like with a couple of twists and changes in the design, I would have had a way better time. There was nothing in this game I hated because of like it being straight up bad, or this is stupid, or this is boring. It's more like, this is so frustrating because did this get play tested enough where you didn't realize certain things about this game just aren't where they need to be? Like, I don't know. It was very frustrating to play because I wanted to love it so bad. I really did. I think Outlaws has a lot of potential. I know Locke's playing it on PC. I think that's the version that's faring the best. I played it on PS5. That's where my code was provided. And, but I've seen like comparison videos he's doing, and the PC version looks much better, at least. Obviously, the environments look great, but I'm talking like even the character models look way better. And I will say the character models, performance or quality mode, look distractingly bad. So, yeah, and that's not very much not a Maddie coded criticism. So
no, and I know you came in wanting to like this one, so I know
100%, bro. I fucking love Star Wars. I was very interested, dude. Before Starfield, might I add? What was I saying about Outlaws? I was like, I'm actually almost as excited for Outlaws, because if Starfield fails me, what did I say? If Starfield fails me, Outlaws has my back, because there's no way Ubisoft misses. Speaking of which, one of the reasons that was because of space exploration. I was like, dude,
let's go. How
that's what I was looking for in Star Wars. It's like, yes. No loading screens, awesome. Love that they just, invisible loading screen, but it keeps the immersion.
Right.
But like, you just float around the nebula collecting treasures. And I'm not talking like collectibles. It's just like, I'll float to like a blown up spaceship and I'll grab like 3 treasure chests just floating around. Like, what I was really like, Starfield did get this better, which I didn't expect to be saying, but Starfield lets me dock on different ships. Lets me in, and like the one thing Mass Effect, I said this in my review, I never took you for granted, but I never will, because this is the only game that got space exploration right in my eyes, where I can go to different planets and galaxies. Oh, there's a ship here, and I board it, and there's people there, and they're like a whole story here. I feel like a lot of these games are doing, we have space exploration, I just float around outer space. I'm like, that's not exploration. Is like going to something. I'm not going to anything in this that's got substance to it. So I thought the combat was solid. Like, it was arcadey.
How's the spaceship combat?
It was good. Like, it was arcadey. Like, you soft locks. I think Starfield fucking destroys it in that.
Okay, that's all I want to say.
You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Your takes are safe. I thought Starfield had better ship everything, frankly, and a better feel. Also, there was like upgrades you could get for your ship, but like Starfield, you could really customize like the feel and the movement. Like they did an amazing job with that by comparison. And so yeah, I think Star Wars Outlaws on us, it works when it's like flying around and shooting and stuff. There are some really cool dogfights, but and like it's definitely good. Like I would say it plays good. It's just arcadey, it's different. But when it comes to the exploration, I'm like, damn, dude, they missed it big time on space. I think.
A shame.
Yeah,
That's a shame.
yeah. So yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, not. I don't know, dude. I'm not. I hope they patch it because I genuinely want to love that game so much because it's like I've dreamt of a Star Wars open world game, and there are some planets like Kajimi, Akiva, like new Star Wars planets that we've never been on before too, which I like. Like a lot of people were bitching and moaning, like, "Oh, why are they showing Tatooine? We've seen that before," but like they have a lot of new things here, and I'm glad they held that away from marketing because it was cool to be like, "I'm here, I'm exploring this new location that's like inhabited by the Empire." Like all these maps are broken up into territories. There's a lot of potential there. Last thing, forgot to mention this. The reputation system. This was the thing that I think a lot of the game hinged on. I went out of my preview saying this could make or break the game because what I played was like, okay, cool. I make choices here in the story. Certain factions like me more than others. Like, awesome. And what I looked at in the reward structure was like, if your reputation is high with certain factions, you'll get new equipment, new skins, you'll get access to their vendor supplies, you'll get access to certain territories that otherwise would harass you. So, for example, the Hutt cartel has a lot of positioning on Tatooine. And if you're in good standing with them, there are points you can go through the game that are just not as combat heavy. So there's a lot of, I would say, manipulating of that system that can make it cool. The problem is, I think it's too easily manipulated. And I'm not even looking at it as like, please be New Vegas, but I can, a lot of the story decisions have lean heavily on like, this is a big decision you're going to make. And it's going to determine how these two factions look at you. But then like, I'll piss off the Crimson Dawn in that choice. I'll clearly fuck them over. Like it's ruined their operation. It's made their lives difficult. And then literally the following mission, they'll be like, we need your help with something. Please visit us when you can. I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, yo,
oh, no,
like I'm
no,
in like, there's different levels of standings and I'm like in terrible standing. They're like, please come visit us. Like we have a job for you. We really need your help. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you. I'm like, dude, what? It just collapses upon itself. If you don't care about that, maybe you'll like it. But for me, I was just like, dude, this feels and then you can manipulate it. So you'll just do a couple of side quests and you'll be in good standing with them. So it's just a very fickle reputation system.
I'm not sold on this game. Thank you, Mr. Backblade. Yeah, you saved me. I'm like, I'm the stealth, the AI, the faces, and now you telling me the part I like about Starfield the most, which is like, the factions, and if you F over one, it's on site with the other. It's like it ain't no rectifying after a certain point. So that's one of the best things I like about games.
Yeah,
like
there's a pigeonhole to a degree.
Yeah, when they had that system, I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. The Outlaws is doing that, and then they're not even using the open world Ubisoft energy that they're strong for.
I saw Gene's review and he kind of labeled it as such, and that was like the one thing, not to single out Gene, but just because I'm friends, I would like I feel comfortable saying like I would disagree with. I didn't really feel the Ubisoft template like, oh, go here, check this off, go here, check that off. Like there was not a template, which for many people is like a good thing, but I would sometimes stumble upon areas and kind of not know what I'd be doing there. It's very mission driven, so there's like syndicate quests, side quests.
Got it.
Intel you can chase down, that'll help you chase down treasures. Like there's content there, and it's like enough to be like good. It's an entertaining game. I think it could be a great game though, and that's what I'm telling people. Like I know a lot of the internet conversation is like just fucking dogging on this game because like people have a hate boner for like how the protagonist looks. Like
right.
Okay, sure, but I'm telling you all, like for real, I don't give this game heavy criticism because of any of that. It's because like there's a lot underneath the hood here that could be great. And just pay attention to patches. And I'm going to be, because if this game does get heavily patched and they update design elements, which that's a big ask, but if they do, I mean, they have two DLCs planned for the season pass. Maybe they'll turn a corner. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm going to keep my eye on it because I want to go back because I want to like this game a lot. And
so solid game, but it had the potential to be a great game.
I would say
these things.
I would say okay game.
Oh
yeah. I would say okay game. Solid being like, I say solid is something like what I say with Space Marines 1. Like, yeah, it's flawed, but like I had fun with it and understood what it was. Star Wars Outlaws just like fucks itself over constantly. It's unbelievable. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. So I'm good. I'll wait.
Yeah. Just wait for a sale. Wait for a sale.
Yeah.
And
that's EA. That's coming to. That's Game Pass. That's next year. That's coming.
Yeah. Some people might say like,
no, excuse me. That's Ubisoft. I'm bugging.
Yeah,
no, that's
Ubisoft.
I'm bugging.
But I thought that's what you meant.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Some people are wondering if it's worth the Ubisoft Plus subscription. I'd say just save yourself the headache. Like, there's so much shit coming out. Wait for them to update it, because even at the core level, like AI, like it just needs work on that level, like technical level. So at least let them figure that shit out first before you dive into it. All right. Pardon me. Next on my list here is Metaphor ReFantazio. Went to a preview event in New York City.
Oh, we can talk about it.
Yes, we can talk about it. The embargo lifted today, so we're clear.
Let's go.
Yeah, so that was the 15th, I want to say, of this month. And really cool location, by the way. It was in the Renaissance Foundation in New York City. So it's like an arts and performing center, but it was like almost like a synagogue. And they had like concept art lined up on the walls, and it looked
nice.
Like it looked like it perfectly fit the location. Like it was really cool what they did. So yeah, it was awesome to be there. It was also cool just because like I don't get to like go to these types of game previews ever, like a JRPG. Like I'd love to do more of this, but like that was cool. So to see a different flavor from, like Ubisoft or Xbox or Bethesda, like companies I've been to their stuff for in the past, was nice. Man, most anticipated game of the year, and by far everything I previewed, Cog, including we saw Indie, we saw all those games at LA. Metaphor is head and shoulders above the rest.
Ooh, you got Metaphor on top. Okay.
Oh my god. I mean, I guess technically it would be at the Xbox event, but
yeah, it was at the Xbox.
Yeah, but dude, holy hell. I don't know where to begin. Like I think the one thing I want to make clear is this is not like a just fantasy Persona. Like it's not just like, oh, Persona with new coat of skin. They have so many changes underneath the hood. Like tropes are gone. Like I went into like in my video about how you have your stupid best friend in all these Persona games, right? Like you have your Ryuji, you have your Yosuke, who's just like, and by the way, I say it's like
stupid best friend archetype.
Yeah, like your stupid, dude bro best friends who are just like, the first time you meet Yosuke, he's like crashing his bike, and I think he says he hurt his nuts. Like, you just kind of get that sort of dude bro introduction to your character, right? So what you get here in Metaphor is like the first dude bro character, I put that in quotes, that you would meet to fill that archetype is Stroll. And he's like a very stoic, noble individual who has a very seemingly tragic backstory. And the game takes itself very seriously, which I'm not saying Persona doesn't, but it takes itself like extremely seriously off the rip. Like it's tackling very dark, serious themes to open things up, like racism for sure is one of the primary themes to open things up. And it has action elements, it has turn-based elements. They all feel good. For those who are wondering, like on the ratio where it leans, it's like 90 turn-based, 10 action. Because literally the action is just set up. It's not even like what I've talked about with Daybreak, where you like can mash through enemies if you want to. Like Metaphor is straight up just like 1, 2, and then like it freezes and it tells you like press Y, you'll jump in.
That's what I remember when I played.
Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on it too, because I love the combat. I was like, okay, cool. This is like still a mainly turn-based game. Like there are like when you're above certain enemies levels, you'll just cleave through them and kill them and move along. And that'll be like where the action game kicks in. But otherwise it is a turn-based game. Presentation was sick, like absolutely sick. Just from the menus to the loading screens, like there were interactive loading screens. Like you just see the protagonist like walking to their next objective in the loading screen, and they would like transition into where they were. Just a lot of good shit in this game, dude. Like a lot of good shit. The music, like you could just feel they're flexing their creative muscles in a different way. Like they have to rethink everything they did. The daily life system is different now. Instead of like, oh, I'm gonna spend like 14 days in a row at school and then answering these questions and eating a burger or whatever. Now it's like, oh, I'm on this ship and I'm gonna go over here, and that's gonna take 2 days to get over here. And so, what am I gonna do for those 2 days on this ship? So I'm like, read a book. I'm gonna hang out with Hulkenberg. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like that's where the social gameplay kicks in.
Question: in the demo, I didn't understand how they advanced the time. Like, because it was like 2 days. I had one of those things where I set a mission. It's like, okay, that's going to take 2 days. Then what do you do? And I didn't know how to advance it. I got confused in my gameplay
so
session.
that's where you do the free time activities. Like you'll go and read a book, and it'll progress the time. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Because I was trying to go to other places, and it was like, nah, nothing's happening. I was like, okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Taking those Persona training wheels off of you, Kai. Yeah.
I know. I'm not used to this stuff. I have to go to the OG. I got to go to the veteran.
I appreciate it. But yeah, dude, I thought this game was awesome. I mean, I think a lot of its strength speaks for itself on screen. Like when you see the game running, like you kind of know what it's going to do well. But I will say I was immediately grabbed by its cast of characters. I was immediately grabbed by its themes. Like your character's holding a storybook, and they speak of like in the book, it's about a time where like everyone was equal and viewed each other as individuals, and like not like their backstory, their histories or their backstories or skin color or anything like that.
With this racism trope, okay, they going there with it,
dude. I mean, yeah, the opening theme of Persona 5 Royal is insane, or 5 as well is insane too. Like I think that's part of their goal is they open with a dark theme and then they kind of lighten up. We'll see if Metaphor does that as well, but yeah, like they go in and I think they don't lean too heavily on like the anime cutscenes where trying to carry your interest. There are a lot of stretches of dialogue in this. But to my point originally, like your characters with this storybook, and what's interesting is when you start the game off, you fill out like your name, and then your character's name. So you have 2 names you fill out, and both make sure they're different because both are brought up. Like I named one Maddie, thinking it was asking me for the character name, and then it was like, who's your protagonist name? I'm like, Revan, I guess. Then I'm gonna just like put that in, and I realized at certain points in the story they reference like Maddie as in like this storybook character. I'm like, I think I know where they're going with it. I think it's pretty smart. So I just like how they're kind of making kind of meta level storytelling here. So yeah, they got some really good stuff going on here, and I think Metaphor is going to be a Game of the Year contender for me, no doubt. If what I played was indicative of anything, it's very good stuff. What did you think of what you played of it, though?
I really liked it. I really liked it a lot. I mean, I thought that it was. I think there's 3 sections of the game. They gave me about 15 minutes each, but I only got to do 2 of them, and one was kind of like the free roam exploration, and the other one was like a dungeon. And the free roam exploration was really cool. I love the ship aspect. I love the dialogue. Everything seemed cool. The characters seemed really cool. I like the chick with the she reminded me of Nay from Phantasy Star. Oh, she's got the purple kind of hair, and she's like real serious toned.
Purple
and
hair. I don't remember the
maybe
hair. Or is he thinking red hair?
Red hair, excuse me. Red hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Elfie. She reminds me of one of my favorite characters in Phantasy Star from SEGA. Phantasy Star 2, which is Nay. I love that. She looks just like Nay. And I'm like, oh, Rockwell. She was real serious. Talking and stuff.
I hung out with her too.
Hung out with her. And then again, got a bit of the beat with that. Then the dungeon was really cool because, doing the exploration, that's when I got a chance to see a little bit of that real-time combat. But like you said, it's really a setup to the turn-based, right? And then using the turn-based abilities was dope. Oh, let me ask you this. I didn't understand what was the tactical advantage of. I noticed the game allowed me to move my characters to the front line or the back line before coming. I didn't see the significance or the advantage of it.
Yeah, so the advantage is defensive from my current read. So if you go to the back line, you take less damage. And even if you do that, you'll still take decent damage. But if you do backline and defend, it like really ramps defense. But if you do melee from the back line, you don't do as much damage. It doesn't look like magic damage was affected from what I did, but I wasn't like, because I did a spell from the back line. I was like, oh, that did a lot of damage. But I didn't test afterwards if like, what was it versus the front line. But that's what happens there. It's just a defensive kind of thing.
No, it's a unique little thing. I don't, I've noticed it. I was like, oh, I could move around and do that stuff. And
that's a very Lost Odyssey mechanic, frontline, backline stuff, which I was happy to see.
It was good to see. It just adds a little bit of, dynamism, to the combat and stuff like that. But yeah, it felt Persona. It felt great. And I found like towards like the objective of searching for some people, found the treasure chest, continued to go up, and then it was like a boss encounter, and I thought was really dope. So everything I played, I was like, yeah, this is more mature Persona, but with tons of different systems. And yeah, now it has like the time-based mechanic in their own way. You know what I'm saying? As far as advancing this stuff. But everything I played, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And
Do you think you'd actually play this versus like Persona? You don't seem in on.
yeah, I would play this more because don't get me wrong, Persona is amazing. I don't want to disrespect Persona at all. It's just that I'm a little burnt out by the school stuff, like in the thing in the back, and like this seemed different. And I didn't know the tropes were going there. What you said, you already got my interest 1,000-fold with that. I want a game to be like, yeah, I want us all to be, and if they doing racism, okay, all right, we gonna see. I want to know where they go with that. So it has my attention on that now for sure.
Yeah, no, they go pretty strong in those directions. So it's I think they're handling it well so far. So
nice. Yeah, and I just love how Xbox is all the way behind this. Like the marketing is intense. They are really, to have them have an Atlas RPG, a brand, like this is a big deal. So I know the talk right now is all these stuff is missing, the smaller stuff, but we have to admit the major, the tentpole stuff, they are not missing. And to get a hold of this is big. So yeah, I gotta
had Xboxes at the because obviously they had them at the event we went to, but the one I went to in New York City, they also had Xboxes. So
Xbox hardware.
Yeah. It was like all Xbox branded. Nice, I was like, oh, now I know why I got invited.
Yes. Love to see it. That's dope.
100%. All right. I just have one more game I want to talk about briefly. The Smite 2 alpha is available now 24/7. So goodbye single player games, I suppose, because this is my favorite MOBA. I played a little bit last night. You can have 5Q in like ranked with a party, which is exciting. And so we played a bit of that last night. And man, this game is just, good old Smite. I love that you can like now ban champions when you're starting up the games. Like it's just, as I've mentioned when we first started talking about it, so I have less to say on it. They're just taking a lot of things that League was doing very well. And I think evening the playing field. And if you like, what's happening is, again, if you like Smite or you like League and you're looking to kind of transfer between the two, you can do that a lot easier now. Originally, Smite was very much lagging behind, mechanically speaking. They did some great quality of life enhancements. Like you're going through what items you want to build. They're just like little, because for me, I'm like relearning this. I haven't played Smite in a couple of years. Like, okay, what items, just a brief description, like builds protections, kill minions. I'm like, okay, I know what that does in a brief snapshot, and I don't have to sit in base for too long and, ignore my team and lead to a loss. So yeah, they're doing a great job there with quality of life enhancements. The alpha looks way worse than what the closed alpha looked like. So my guess is they have dumbed things down significantly for like optimization, and they're going to make the game look good again. Cause like character models look all right, but like the environment's like way worse. I think it's the lighting. I don't think there's any built-in lighting at all outside of like a single directional light is what it feels like. It's just all very flat lighting. And this is with me playing on PC, high settings.
This on a big boy.
Yeah. So it doesn't look very good right now, but it's sure as hell fun to play. And so I think the only critique I have is they got to hurry up and get some new champs out, because like they're starting with like the bare bones, boring ones, I would say, where I'm curious how they handle the rollout. Cause like now you're seeing all these MOBAs crop up around you, like Predecessor and Deadlock is like, you kind of got to like get going and get some of these out quick. And apparently a lot of them are ready. They're just polishing them. They've been taking surveys like, hey, do we just drop all the gods, or do you want us to do it over time? And just like, do you want us to make chaos or not? I think they might want to choose chaos just because, again, I don't think you want to lag behind other MOBA competitors, because Smite was already kind of struggling a little bit, and this is their chance to resurge. So we'll see what they do. But nonetheless, that is all I'm playing this week. All right, we have a number of warm-up questions here, Cog, and I loaded it up here because really we only have one actual news item, and I think it'll lead perfectly in with all the questions we're getting asked. A lot of this show, beyond the news, is going to be just about where Xbox kind of stands right now, which I know for many is a tired conversation. I understand and respect that, but it feels like we continue to need to update it with everything that's happening, because I think the goalposts continue to move on our expectations. Is just like what should be set moving forward. So I want to start off with RK128, who has our first warm-up right
now. The homie.
Lord Sonic. The blessed day, Dukes. Thank you for the shout out last Duke regarding Indiana Jones. Had a lot of fun writing that preview up for Lords of Gaming. But something that has annoyed me a lot in the past few days is that most outlets aren't talking about the qualities of Xbox's showings, but rather the drama that Xbox caused themselves. Do you feel it's unfair to the developers that the things people are latching onto are the rakes Xbox sets up for themselves? Or is this sadly a normal thing in the industry? had an amazing time at the Anime NYC Expo and played episode Igas before it officially launched. Kind of day. That's awesome, RK. Shout out to you.
Salute.
All right, Cog. So what are our thoughts on this? I feel like I'm reading some of your thoughts in real time here. So what are we thinking of this subject? Is it fair to game developers that the Xbox drama takes a bit away from them and what they're showing off?
Yeah, I agree with RK. It's not fair, and I think that unfortunately what's lost in all these interviews is we preview, me, you had a chance to preview, Indiana Jones and the Lords. We got a chance to see a lot of in-depth stuff, even stuff that wasn't initially shown at Gamescom that we got a chance to see gameplay. And the game looked absolutely phenomenal. It looked like Machine Games was really, really cooking. Now, granted, to Maddie's point, we want to probably like a Dragon's Age Veilguard level, fully 1000% transparent on every aspect. That's fair. But for what I've seen, like, I am confident enough to be like, look, this game looks phenomenal. It has a lot of gameplay mechanics that I wasn't aware of, puzzle mechanics that looked even better than before. And now it's just a matter of getting it in front of my hands and then let's, get our final thoughts on that. But they really cooked. And it's just, unfortunately, all that's talked about is the fact that, hey, a couple of months later, it's going to go to PlayStation 5. And I get it. We talked about the hilarity of it. We talked about, that probably wasn't the right time to do that, right? So yes, it's a rake that they caused, right? That now has this result. But the sad part about it is I guess the frustrating part, if you like this ecosystem, is you waited for years like 2024 to happen. In 2023, 2024, when you got this murderous row, I'm calling it, of amazing titles all in a stretch. You got Shattered Space, you got this, you got Stalker, you got Avowed, you got, Simulator, Call of Duty on the platform, so much right going on, Towerborn. Oh, like it's really amazing the amount of titles they have. And for the most part, they all look quality, but all we could talk about is, all of this, where's it going, where's it not going? And granted, Xbox caused this themselves. They could have dipped this in the bud or handled this better. All I'm saying is, again, I'm just looking at the top level. If you like video games and if you like quality video games, they appear to be here. Even Black Ops, a game that I'm just like, yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty. I ain't going front. The more I saw that, I'm like, damn, Black Ops look like one of those ones. So that's where I'm at with it. It's just, it's unfortunate because that's what's getting lost in all of this. And, my hope is that when the games actually release, people actually, get back on focus on what we're here for kind of thing. So that's just me, you know what I'm saying? Because it is unfortunate if you're a developer, you're like, man, all they talked about was the 30 frames in the valve. You know what I'm saying? All they talked. And mind you, Maddie, that interview we had was fire. Like, we asked great questions. They, you know what I'm saying? Like, they told us,
in there, yeah.
Bro, the dialogue system to this day, I really see no other game really match what they trying to do there. It was, the gold and silver surfer time. I was like, yo, I thought that was going to catch something. Like, nah. And I get it. That's the zeitgeist. That's the news cycle. I just hope it gets back to where it is. And I think it will. Honestly, I do think it will. It's just that this is the rake we gotta deal with right now.
My thoughts are a little different from yours. I agree in some areas. I think for me, a lot of it boils down to there are certain rakes that are Xbox and there are certain that are self-inflicted. I think people would have been willing to accept the 30 FPS answer from Avowed, for example, but the immediate, like, it doesn't matter first. Like, with all due respect, it was a terrible answer though. Like, a terrible reasoning behind the answer, I should say. It just felt very out of touch with what gamers are talking about, what they prioritize, what first person games for years have prioritized. Like, frame rate matters in general, but frame rate especially matters in first person. So it was a very surprising answer in that regard. I respect the honesty and the transparency and like, that's how you feel, but it was not like personal at all. It was more like, this is how we as a company feel. In that case, that's a developer stepping on a rake. That's a developer being like, here's how we feel. And they've set up that landmine for themselves and then step firmly on it. I don't know if they were prepped for that answer because, again, they had their body language just told me everything. Their body language was very relaxed all interview. And you even surprised me with that. Like, I've said it multiple times, but you surprised me with that because I was like, oh, shit, that's a good question. They were probably like, oh, fuck, that is a good question. And so I don't think they were prepped for that because, again, the answer felt very off the cuff. Like, yeah, it's 30. Like, then got into like the performance of the game, gave an indication it may get better. Like, they had it all laid out and then it was that last leg of like, this doesn't matter. And you know how people react online. Oh, that doesn't matter to you. Your game doesn't matter to me. And it gets combative.
That's a fact.
It gets combative. So there are times I don't sympathize heavily with developers. Like Obsidian is one of my favorites, but it's like, you did it to yourself, man. You know, you should have been ready for that. And if 60 frames is something you're kind of tucking away, I mean, first of all your trailers have been 60.
Yeah.
So you're doing the Redfall thing. You know, Xbox has to figure something out there, whether it be console trailers and PC trailers or just laying it out in the actual trailer description. Something's got to be there. Because it's becoming too frequent now. You know, this isn't the first time it's happened. There are times with Indiana Jones I'm a lot more sympathetic though. And pretty much echo a lot of what you said. It's like, yeah, this is an amazing looking game. I've already said, and I'll say it again. Yeah, I want to see more direct feed, continuous gameplay. Give me a feel of the flow. You know, you could do what Dragon Age did and like edit out certain parts to just keep flow of the game. Like I don't need to see every minute, every detail. That's for me to experience. But yeah, I would love to just see a little bit more of it. But Indiana Jones, otherwise, what we saw looks fantastic. Like Game of the Year contender quality, if that lives up and it's not, you know, the length of Wolfenstein New Colossus and you actually have something to sink your teeth into there. Like they got something. And I didn't have many doubts because I think they've made some really great games, but I'm happy to see they feel like they're on point here. So yeah, when all the talk is about PlayStation 5, I think it's a matter of perspective. You could be a developer going, hey, headline's a headline, news is news. More people are talking about indie than they probably would have been if the game looked good. Because I think what's happening is nowadays, it's not surprising when a game looks great. I don't know how else to word it. Like we get a lot of, I think we're almost spoiled. Like we get a lot of good shit. There's so much good shit to play that people are just picking between the best at times. Not like, oh, this looks bad, this looks good. Like it used to kind of be. It used to be, you know, this is not looking, you know, up to snuff. And this like, oh, I'm going to pick between Skyrim and Dragon Age 2. Let's be real. One of them is generation defined. The other is like not up to the quality of other fantasy games at the time. So the choice is simple. But that's not the case nowadays. Like there's always tough choices to make and there's releasing so frequently that you're now deciding between what came out 6 months ago and today, a year ago and today even. You know, that's continuously happening. So I think for some developers, it's like, all right, they're talking about the game and they know when it's coming out. That's a huge win. And, you know, obviously there's stats we are not privy to. Like they might feel great about it because, oh, the online complaints are bad, but our wish list count is up here right now. And that's something developers care a lot about. Like, oh, they're wish listing it on Steam or they're wish listing it on PlayStation. Like that's going to put them up in the algorithm. That's going to put them up on the storefront page more, et cetera, et cetera. So there's something there that we don't really know. So there's that level of nuance. And then otherwise, though, yeah, like I do wonder if for them it's like, hey, we put a lot of time into this, but at the same time, as we both went to the same preview, and at least I walked away from it saying, like, compared to all the previews I did, like my Metaphor preview was almost 20 minutes. My Avowed preview was almost 20 minutes. You know, my Star Wars Outlaws review was over 20 minutes. Like my indie preview was 12 minutes. I barely had anything new to say because there wasn't a lot of new shit to take away. And most of the stuff I talked about was in the Q&A. So if they're upset about it, I almost feel like point it back at yourself a little bit. It's like, you guys got to show new shit. And you did with the release date. And so that's the conversation. That was the new thing. People have already seen indie and you haven't shown them anything like other than a couple of new frames of like, you know, here's the game in this area. It's like, well, again, give me 5 minutes of gameplay and then we'll talk. Then I'll feel a little worse about it. So I sympathize, but some devs would just love to be in the headlines in general. They just love to have their game out there in general. Obviously, it's not fun to be at the center of a controversy, but I think it needs to be talked about because the problem is Xbox as a publisher. I asked Colin this question in our crossover because I wanted to get his thoughts on it because he's published games. I have yet to. Is, you know, as a publisher, you have to trust your partner to be able to not set you up for a fucking like marketing failure. And I don't know how involved Machine Games was in that, but let's just speak on a hypothetical level that Xbox is creating the wrong type of noise around their games. It's like, that doesn't make you an appealing partner. It's like, if we can find a partnership elsewhere, Nintendo, PlayStation, Amazon, EA, whoever the fuck else, that's going to give me a quieter route in the terms of negative noise and just let me show off my game and announce these sorts of beats at the right time. Again, we also don't know Disney's involvement. I'm just, again, using this as a hypothetical. There's that element as well, which is why I think it needs to be talked about. Like, Xbox has to be a good publishing partner, not just in support and in resources, but setting the game up to make noise in the right way, which is like, hooray, indie's coming out this year. Like, it's going to make the cut. And then there's this whole mess behind it. It's like, you space that out. It's a whole different thing. Or you bury it a little bit, not trying to fully advocate for the lack of information. But if you're Xbox, like, tuck it in. That's where I think Disney played a factor. You know, again, you like, they want that out there more.
Okay. No, I guess my question. So you felt that did damage to the game with the announcement of the PlayStation 5 comment, or did it do damage to the Xbox community? If we look at the metrics overall that it's announced at PS5, do you feel they do damage to Machine Games with this release? That particular move, saying it on Keighley stage.
No, I think it's more damage to Xbox. I think there's been enough, at least from what I've read, and obviously the conversations we've hosted. I feel like people should be generally educated enough to know the difference between a publisher and a developer now. The people making the games aren't to blame for these sorts of decisions. Like, they're just like the factory workers, if you will, right? Like, they're just making it happen. These are business dealings. That's why I say I look at Xbox, I look at Disney. And I will say this, there is a reality where people have to accept, and I feel like RK is kind of suggesting it, and you and I both know it, is that negativity around Xbox does draw more attention than positivity.
Of course.
100%. And a lot of people are going to read that as like sympathizing or, oh, it's me. But look, as someone who makes a lot of Xbox videos and of both sides of the spectrum, like when I'm hyped about something, look, a lot more people, I'll just say this. Let me get the numbers, Cog. Hang on.
We have data. Yeah.
I do have data on my Mr.
I have data YouTube channel. Yeah, on Redfall's player count, Starfield's player count, you know, and then I have data on Concord's player count. And I have data on the amount of coverage and stuff that is. So this is real SEO and algorithm stuff that you're talking. You're talking real stuff.
When I made a video about Xbox selling Tango Gameworks and giving them, and they were going to live 25K views, which is pretty bad for me.
For you, yeah, that's bad.
Versus, let's scroll a little bit. Hold on, where is it? This was back in what, April?
Yeah, when the announcement. Yeah.
I'm trying to find it here. Okay. When they announced it, that they were shutting these studios down, 142K views.
Wow.
So, and I'm not a rage baiter because I have things that are positive that do well. You know, like you can go look at my channel. It's all over the place.
So it's almost 7 times the views.
Yeah.
So basically 7 times the views to say that.
Yeah. Dude. 100%.
That's insane.
So there's truth to that. It's there on my channel in different capacities. It's there on other channels in different capacities. Like, there is a level of truth to negative Xbox conversations generate traffic if Starfield was anything to go by.
Exactly. You know? And that's why I want to flip it, because there's a part of me now that, even though I know the hardcore Xbox community is upset with the timing and the way they did this, right? We have to be clear that they are the challenger brand and that it will be harder to say something negative on something if it's going to other places, right? And that's all I'm trying to say. Like, we have to, if Indiana Jones ends up being this amazing game, right? And now it's on the popular platforms, right? There's a chance that it could do way better in the zeitgeist. We cannot ignore that reality. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's the same thing when, you know, you look at Sea of Thieves or a Pentiment. When people, we have to admit, the generation before, people locked into their ecosystems, right? Not everyone is like us with a hardcore gamer where they have the financial ability or for their content creation career is going to review and cover things on multiple platforms. People made their bed a lot in that PlayStation 4 and that Xbox One era. So if you do that, you're like, hey, that's nice, that's over there, but I'm not getting an Xbox for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here. So now if something comes to your platform, that's why I said I've had this thing, not to call it like the Trojan horse thing. There is a part of this strategy that could end up working for them in the sense that now that games go to other platforms, they could get at least a shake at being reviewed. And I hate to call out my man because I love Colin. Like, that's the homie, right? He tried Pentiment and loves Pentiment, right? You know what I'm saying? He would not have tried it if it did not eventually come to PlayStation 5 because people are ingrained into their ecosystem. And that's the thing here that I got to think about. So for me, it's about the survival of the game. It's about the game doing well. And in that case, I agree with you that ultimately they may look at the numbers and say like, yo, this was a net positive. Regardless to how the Xbox community and their feelings about that, this may be a net positive. But to your point, back to the Obsidian and the Avowed stuff, I do agree that's a quote unquote developer rake, so to speak, right? Where it's like, you didn't do yourself any favor by necessarily expounding on that when gamers really want frame rate and gamers really want the highest of performance in these type of situations. That's your creative vision to say, hey, you want more effects and you want stuff. But the gamer go looking like, yo, don't tell me that, whatever, especially in Xbox's cases, when we have tangible evidence, Starfield became 60. So on the X and the S, Redfall became 60 later. You know what I mean? Like we have tangible evidence. So that part, I do agree with you there.
Yeah, I think there's one other element to it all, which is much broader than anything we're talking about, which I do think Xbox represents some of the biggest changes in our industry right now. That is something that does need to be addressed, and I don't think gets enough attention, is that while I say negativity does draw views, the other thing that draws attention is like pretty industry shattering changes, like Game Pass, day one Game Pass, third party day one Game Pass, like those were positive shatters. xCloud gaming, positive shatter. But yeah, ditching exclusivity, starting to bring your games over, becoming more multi-platform, but still supporting hardware. It's a real-time effect of like people trying to understand where you're at. Miscommunications. You said this wasn't going to be in one place. It's going to be here now. It's obviously there's, I would say, personnel issues within Xbox and like who's calling the shots, who's saying what versus what's happening, that sort of thing, the messaging we've gone on about. But it's also about like Xbox is changing at least how the industry works for them. We don't know if this will carry over to PlayStation fully and Nintendo. I think PlayStation will eventually follow suit, but much longer down the line. But Xbox is definitely at the center of a lot of very foreign activity that we've never seen before. Like we have a way of doing things here. The business is run a particular way, and Xbox is like smashing those ideas, and they're doing it with really compelling games at the same time, like Indiana Jones. So that's the other wrinkle in it all, I think.
No, you're right, and it's what we said, like you said, like it's real time change in such an extreme, aggressive way that we've never seen before. Right. So to your point, yes, that is valid. That is absolutely valid because, we've never seen what we would consider a multi-platform strategy, yet at the same time, concurrently, you're going to continue to make hardware, right? And then concurrently, you have this service and stuff like that. And then you're going to put it on, you're willing to put it on your competitors and you're also willing to put your games, on your competitors. This is uncharted territory. We've never seen it. And I've been in gaming for a long time. I've never seen this. And the hope is like, hey, we hope this works out for you. We'll see how this strategy works for you. There is some sound basis to it, but we got to see it in real time. And how does that affect your ecosystem, at all, if people are going to continue to go to it when you have this strategy? Those are all valid questions.
Yeah. Well, let's carry this conversation a step further. Let's talk about the future, a really fun one in that. Cody Brahman writes in, hello, Maddie and Cog. This is my first time writing in. I'm an avid listener and a fan of both Defining Duke and the Iron Lords podcast. Thank you. First time writing. Congratulations.
Much love, Cody.
My question is, what would you and Cog do if you were Xbox when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6 exclusivity? I go back and forth. I feel like it would push consoles, but that would be a lot of money left on the table. Also, Elder Scrolls over Fallout, in my opinion. Oblivion was the game that got me into fall in love with the video games again. Oh, I see why you're a fan of the Iron Lords.
Cody, my man, what's going on? Welcome to the realm of the Dukes, brother. You got the red carpet coming out here. Let me blow the trumpets.
Oh, man. He says, thanks, and have a, when you finally come to the realization the historic St. Louis Cardinals are not that franchise anymore kind of day. My condolences, Cody. As a Mets fan, we get it.
We get it.
We were never historic.
We were never historic.
Historically bad.
Bad, yes, that's us.
This is a fun one to go to because I feel like by the time this game comes out, we'll know what's going on. But here's the interesting thing to me, at least with Elder Scrolls 6, is that I could see this timing out with a new console. And depending on the release window, right? We have the rumored like they're starting early 2026, or the everyone is going in 2028. And if it's 2028, I think Elder Scrolls 6 could kind of at least be showing itself off in that pocket to kind of market the next system. And that would be a pretty big hardware pusher. So the question is, do they keep, because as Cody said, they have a good reason to keep it close to the vest, but I just think, I feel like they got to go multi-plat. So is that what you're feeling, sir?
Yeah, look, man, all bets are off, man. We got to be honest about it, right? We got to be honest. Like I said, I give you credit, Maddie. From the minute the 4 games was announced at the business update, you were like, Cog, I am led to believe everything is coming to the other platforms. You said that
anything
very
unannounced, 100%.
Yeah, anything unannounced. That's what you said. Yeah, anything. You was like, all bets are off. This is the flirting. This is, basically how I look at them right now. They're in a transition period, right? This is the transition. So maybe there is data that says you cannot rip the Band-Aid off immediately because this would do irreparable damage. I'm butchering the word. You know the word I'm talking about. Irreparable damage to the brand at this point. And even though people say, well, you're doing it right now by doing these one-offs and pissing off the base, but they made themselves know, like, hey, this is how we have to do it. It's going to have to be like a stages like effect, right? You hit them with a third-party joint. You hit them, with certain little games. And then, you got like a Doom, Dark Ages. Okay, that's, a new IP. Now we'll give them that. The issue is going to be when you got Elder Scrolls 6, which is... this is, you want to talk tempo for Bethesda. Like, this is the game, right? This is a game that theoretically, if you kept exclusive, would be a driver, right? Would be a driver for the console, would be a driver, for subscriptions in conjunction. But this is a new day. This is a new Xbox. And we have one data point in terms of Call of Duty, right? It's still going to be sold over on PlayStation for $70. It's eventually going to come to the new Nintendo Switch. So, yeah, I'm going to lead to believe at this point, you have to prepare yourself that this will be multi-plat. And the way I'm looking at Bethesda and ABK specifically, if you're into those families, to me, you are more apt to be multi-plat.
Yeah,
because you've already been in the publishing business of porting to other platforms. It's easier for you. Your existence prior to the Xbox acquisition was porting to everything. You have the experience. Whereas, for example, other studios maybe underneath the Xbox Game Studios family from the beginning, didn't have that, and it would take a little longer for them as far as porting and stuff.
You think, like, your Halo, Gears, Forza? That's the question, right? Like, I feel like they still. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like you still need a sort of core of some kind to market the system. If you're just like, anything's coming here, then no one's going to buy whatever future hardware you have. Like, I don't know if I'm wrong in how I'm thinking about it. I feel like you need a degree of exclusivity to kind of draw people into playing on your platform. That, or it's just like an open market kind of platform where you've got all your libraries across everything. Then we're talking a different story, like on accessibility level.
It's a great question because there's a part of me, again, I have to think, like, there's a part of me that thinks just like you. And I'm like, because that's what we're used to. That's the traditional way of thinking. But then there's a part that, remember, we had the crossover with Colin. Colin made a good point. The point he made was that this was not just an Xbox acquisition. This was one of Microsoft's biggest acquisitions with ABK, right? And he used the Lord of the Rings term. You have the Eye of Sauron on you now. Oh, yeah, did what? How much money could be made over there? Wait, what? Wait, why? Why do y'all console guys do exclusive? These are literally words Satya said. I don't understand. When the Eye of Sauron does this, and that bro, 70 bill? What's going on here? Wait, we got to extract all the value. Seize all the hobbits now. It's time. Like, I hate, from a gaming sensibility, it goes against everything we know. But they up top, we want that all right. Especially, let's be honest, if Game Pass subscriptions are stagnant and not where they're supposed to be, they thought the user base is going to be higher. There's a part of me now that is like, all bets off. And we have to admit the contradictions are coming in at such a fast rate.
Yeah. I think there's actually, I want to say there was a Greenberg tweet. I could be totally wrong, but I think there was a tweet about Elder Scrolls 6. Like, it will be exclusive. I'm like, or all Bethesda games will be exclusive. Yeah, it's like you just got to throw it all in the everything
they said from that point on, like from 2024, 2023 on, I'm not paying.
This is like early series generation. Like, this is like 2021, I want to say. Whenever they bought Bethesda and they did the round table and they started popping off, like, this is our direction.
the eye of Satya is here.
Yeah.
We are living in the Sauron era, and that's where I'm at. And, look, in my opinion, I would love them to keep core franchises, to keep flavor to the brand and keep flavor to, a console base. But I'm getting more and more that they don't care. When you throw Keighley the alley-oop unnecessarily to just, you're generating interest. You know that PlayStation 5 market is robust. And now that they know, because we have data that see if these are 6-7-year-old game, they'll buy that. Oh, you've just upped the profile. Now, we don't know if that was Satya per se. It could be Disney more, but it goes to show you that they're willing to, they don't care about the feelings part with the hardcore base. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and we got to be honest, like, you still could sell Elder Scrolls. Okay, boom, launch title for Xbox Next, whatever. You're in Game Pass, whatever. You come there and they pay. They're literally going to facilitate your vision, and you make the most revenue. If you took a straight corporate card business, you're going to make the most revenue you have ever made, and that franchise is going to see more players, and that's what the game is. The end game is for them, it seems, and that does transition them into third-party publisher style energy. And I will go back though. For the guys that are worrying, and I get it, it's very scary for you. You've never seen this before. We do have to realize that console is still an entry point. It is still a user. It's still, so it just, to me, it just changes from the soul part of the business to a niche part of the business that we will still support. That you may be boutique in what we support. We'll give you that, but we're not going to put all our resources like we used to do in the past. And it's just going to be that we're going head up with the other guys. And it's going to, I think that's at least that's the energy I'm getting from now, unless they prove me wrong. I could only go by the way they're moving right now. That's what it seems like. So yeah. And the way they look at it is, hey, Elder Scrolls, you get it on our service, quote unquote, free 99. You're in the building, right? You ain't got nothing to worry about. And we'll see how it plays out for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think games like Elder Scrolls 6 now can't afford to, because what I'm thinking is they likely, when they went ahead and said, we're going to buy Activision Blizzard, they're like, we need this much money in by this date. And I don't know what kind of line was drawn there, like, or you done or whatever it may be, but it seems like all of a sudden there's a urgency, snappy snap. Like,
where's my money, B?
Yeah, like, get the money. Like,
where's my money?
Maybe even be motivated by Xbox. If like there's a sort of threat of like, we can't keep funding you and supporting you in the way we're doing right now. If like you're not just shoveling the money our way, that may lead to those more aggressive moves. Like it just might be a matter of survival in a really strange way that was kind of put there by the biggest purchase that the company made. So yeah, I feel like games like Elder Scrolls 6, if I'm looking at current Xbox now, which seemingly can't afford to just put these things out exclusively, like if you can't do Indiana Jones, you definitely can't do Elder Scrolls 6 like that, but stranger things have happened, I guess. But yeah, I just look at Elder Scrolls 6 and I'm like, dude, I don't think that's like the next GTA as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Like I'm also going to just die inside a little bit when everyone calls it Skyrim 2. I've seen that picking up. And I remember I made a video. I was like, y'all need to stop. And this was like 2015. And I'm seeing more and more people like, yeah, I can't wait for Skyrim 2. I'm like, you dumb fuck. No. Like, we're not doing Skyrim 2. No. Don't call it that shit. Like, there's casual. And then there's like, I'm not even going to use the word. Like, that's just like ridiculous, bro. That is some level of dumb fuckery that I just can't get down with. So yeah, we're not doing Skyrim 2. Sickening.
Yo, I didn't even know this was a thing. Bro, that's crazy.
No, like they're like, did Skyrim 2 get announced? I'm like, I've had people authentically ask me that, and that's a bite my tongue always. I'm like, dude, no, like it's not. It is called the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim 2? What the fuck are you on, right? Like, I'm going off topic now.
I love it.
My point being is I think that's going to be the next GTA.
Yes.
In that I think it's going to be seismic when it's like coming around. We have no gameplay for that game. And like that trailer, I know it's not GTA levels, but like that trailer for
still
Elder Scrolls 6 has like tens of millions of views or something like that.
Yeah, we know the movers in the industry, and we know. That's why I laugh when people be trying to throw this guy Howard slant. I'm like, y'all know he has one of those games, right?
Yeah.
The movers.
Yeah, if that nails they just need one good trailer for that game.
Oh,
They just need one good trailer. So I say all that to be like Xbox, if they're going to take the Call of Duty treatment with Elder Scrolls 6, as far as I'm concerned, like that's sort of like, you get it. What Game Pass package can we do?
Yep.
How many packages can we do? Collector's editions,
Oh,
controllers.
Yeah.
If they don't go in on the hardware, if the hardware
Hold
exists at that point, they're out of their fucking minds.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they have to do everything in their power to like market
Absolutely.
that thing. So
Absolutely.
to answer your question, Cody, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is 100% multi-plat.
That's where I'm going now.
All right. Next and final question before we get into the news, which I think is a perfect lead-in. Hello, Dukes, with old Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg sound bites and tweets circulating again that stand in direct contrast to recent decisions like Spencer on Indie on PS5 and Greenberg on 60 FPS being the standard. Is it time for Xbox to take a page out of PlayStation and Nintendo's handbook and not talk openly so damn much? In theory, I can appreciate open communication and transparency, but I think Xbox could greatly benefit at this point by saying a lot less and letting the games speak for themselves. They walk on enough rakes without providing constant ammunition and receipts for people to use against them. Thank you for writing in, Adam. This is funny because I'm feeling a little selfish here, Cog.
Let's go.
I look across the pond at Sacred Symbols and I'm like, y'all got it really fucking boring for like a year and a half now. Like,
I know.
Like, I feel bad for them. I'm like, how do you fucking run that show, dude? Like, I don't know how Colin writes that show every week. There's nothing to talk about. I'm like, at least we have shit to do and talk about. Like,
Xbox gives us stuff to talk about.
I would lose my mind if I was just like sitting here just like, yeah, like we're running an Xbox show. We nothing to say about Xbox this week or that week. Like same with the Punch It Up crew. I'm like, outside of the direct, what's going on? Like, how do you guys do it? So honestly, dude, like part of me selfishly, I'm like, keep going. like we got so much to talk about. We're
always
like, in the cut on the industry. Like there's a level of transparency that's kind of cool. And we get to learn a lot about it. So I'm like, pro, just keep going. But it's on a selfish level. I won't lie.
No, well said. Well said. You want me to jump in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. No, look, I agree. I mean, look, this is kind of what I was going to allude to with the prior question, which is, shout out to Adam in reference to the communication transparency, right? And to me, communication transparency is awesome when you are in control. And that's the difference now. The difference now is from anything prior to 2024. You're going to have to just roll that bad boy up, throw it in the rubbish. None of that applies no more. And I get it. If you want to sit there and say, bro, they're liars, fair enough. Fair enough. You are welcome to say, Cog will now fight back with you. All I'm saying is, this is a new day. and all that, it is clear as day. They are not in control. And this is an extremely aggressive pivot in real time. So what I see now is, obviously the Gamescom thing came out. People wanted to talk to what, we'll talk about what was said, is that kind of stuff. And as far as the, the 60 FPS is the standard. Yeah, that's going to come back to haunt, What I look at that as two-part though. I just look at that as, at least what I'm seeing so far, UE5 is extremely beautiful, but it's extremely demanding as well. Right. And I'm not sure now with this in conjunction with a ray tracing era, if these consoles were really built to kind of handle this long term. And we're now 4 or 5 years into the gen, or how far we're into the gen now, and we are starting to see a lot more 30 frames per second games. We're seeing, I believe, Monster Hunter Wilds came out, and that's 30, right? We're seeing Wukong right now. It's going through its paces right now. That's a new developer too. But, we're starting to see more of the 30 kind of rear its head back up again. And, that's something from a communication standpoint. I get it. When you put these things out there, people are going to pull them up, kind of thing. But again, I look at this generation in terms of overall messaging. All that's great, but you're not in control anymore. So I can't really pay that any mind anymore, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the logical thing would be to clam up for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just, there's not much for you to say because all it's going to do is they're going to pull up the videotape. They're going to get the receipts in 4K. They're going to say, you said that, you did what happened, right? Yeah. So, and all I'm hearing now is changes in it. We'll talk about it, what we're hearing now.
Yeah, let's get into that actually. So to transition here, because I'll have some extra thoughts on top of this. Phil Spencer spoke on exclusivity moving forward. This is his latest comment, not just about indie, but in general. He said this at Gamescom, quote, I think as an industry right now, there's a lot of pressure on the industry. It's been growing for a long time. People are looking for new ways to grow. Us as fans, us as players of games, we just have to anticipate there's going to be more change in some of the traditional ways that games are built and distributed. That's going to change. It's going to change for all of us. But the end result has to be better games that more people can play. If we're not focused on that, I think we're focused on the wrong things. So for us as Xbox, health of our platform, and growing games, the most important things, end quote. Daniel J has the write-in. Salutations and greetings, Dukes. Is Indiana Jones the straw that finally broke Xbox's back? I've been trying to rationalize why they would sabotage such a big first-party launch. Actually, you know what? I apologize, Daniel. We kind of answered your question in full already. I'm looking at this right now. I guess I did not plan for that, but Daniel, you get a shout out. Congratulations. Welcome to the show.
For sure.
Send you lots of love. All right, Cog. Phil Spencer on exclusivity. He keeps bringing up this pressure to grow the industry and that it's so needed. What do you... I don't buy it. I don't know how to swear. I don't buy it. I think they need it. I don't think everyone else needs it right now. Because if I look at your competitors, they sure as shit don't need it. They're doing... Right now, PlayStation's in the Xbox One era, which I know sounds like an insult, but I mean, like, they're starting to embrace PC a little bit, but it's not even like a guarantee, like, oh, I'm going to see God of War, the next God of War game or whatever Sony Santa Monica does or Naughty Dog does, day and date on PC with PS5. They have created a value proposition and healthy ecosystem with their console users that right now it's clear you guys don't have, and you have to go to that base to make that happen. So I don't buy this at all, this whole knocking down the walls thing. And again, it goes to, I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, that knocking down these walls does not solve the problem of how much money you're spending on these games. If you're spending too much, you have to make smaller games. If you're investing too much in the business and you're not getting enough out, you need to make games that fit your financial situation better. It's like, I'm not going to go rent a penthouse. I'm not a cog. I'm not going to rent a penthouse if all I can afford is like a fucking apartment building. I'm saying, I'm not going to go and, live above my means. I can't do that. So make games within your means. That would be the sensible thing to do. Now, as a platform holder, I guess it's a little more complicated here, but I'm talking on a first party level and a distribution level. I think the industry could analyze that sort of stuff. Like, how much are we spending on these games? Rates, that sort of thing is tough to tackle because like the living costs are going up. And so people, like, it's very competitive now. Like, people are going to go to other studios that are just paying more. But I just feel like Xbox is speaking for themselves and trying to act like it's everybody. But it's like no one around you is doing this. Not in nearly as an extreme way as you. So what do you make of all this?
Yeah, I agree with most of your points. I think that this is a product of the situation that they are in, right? This is they said it. I'm not being aggressive here. They said it themselves. They lost the console war. They said it. Remember, they said it on they beat us, and all this was in the trials and FTC. These are words they put out, right? And these are things we have to do in order for us to compete. We have to get an ABK in order for us to compete. We have to do a Bethesda. We have to do these things to get, Sony does these things to us. And, they money had exclusives. And, our brand power is this and we're last and all this stuff. Okay, fine. So you have put yourself in this situation because you have lost a generation. They themselves have said that they should not have lost, which was the eve of the digital library forming era. Right. Mm-hmm. And that was PS4, Xbox One. Once people made that decision, they lock in. And now you've had an uphill battle and you're losing console war sales consistently, right? You've been losing that battle to this group. So now you do this ingenious thing. You say, okay, boom, you know what? We ain't tracking that no more. We're going to make this service. We're going to try this subscription thing and try to generate and create the best value we can and then see how that works for us. And then that started. And then it's like, okay, in order to facilitate that, you need studios, you need games, you make these big acquisitions. And then this is where I was going to tie into Phil's legacy, because Phil's legacy is tied to the ABK deal. Make no mistake, when you get your superiors to now invest on a Microsoft level, not just for Xbox as a subdivision of the smart, you have told Microsoft proper, this is where we need to be. And Microsoft says, you know what? Yes, you're right. Look what we could do here. And they're available. Wow, we didn't see this coming. Boom, grab them. At that point, you did the numbers, you did the math, your consoles were selling at that time. And you like, hey, if we get a theoretical number, I'm just making it up, of 50 million or 100 million Games Pass subscribers, oh my God, hand over fist, y'all. Stakeholders are like, hell yeah, let's do that. Go get it, right? You go out there, you go get it. And then, litigation. Oh, the EU. Oh, the CMA. No one wants us to have this. Oh, Sony's being nasty. What's happening? Now you're in this bite. But 2 years happened. Now it's finally done. And now, as in the streets, we say, where's my money, B? Where's it at, B? We gave you 2 years. You said we was going to have 100 million or 50 million Game Pass subscribers. Where's that? Okay, now change the tiers. Put these games everywhere. We're being extra aggressive with the multi-plat. So this is the pressure of the industry that you are in. Your competitors do not have to do. They're still selling consoles just fine.
Yeah.
Now, in your defense, you are very forward-facing. You see, the console industry has kind of plateaued. There's not much more we could extract out of this. Maybe let's go cloud. Let's go PC. And then to their credit, they were right with PC. The Xbox community at that time was like, nah, bro, you giving up my exclusive.
That's
What's
so
up?
Crazy because I was all about that, but that's crazy to hear. I didn't really watch that. I believe
Civil War. You thought, this is definitely worse with the multiplat, what's going on right now, but it was almost as intense. People were like, yo, those are our exclusive. Why are you giving it to them? But like we said, you got to watch Crossover. It was a good one with Colin. It says that they are two distinct markets. There's going to be PC guys that's never going to buy a console. And there's console guys like me that, look, I have a PC, but I use it for content creation. Yeah. This is not my default. I want to be on the couch.
Yeah.
I want to be with my Volare pillow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Got my elbows on it and I'm playing my controller. That's what I like to do. So what it is they have now put themselves in that position and they go, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. So I think to the last point, which is as far as like, we're going as far as, the health. This is the thing. It says, at the end of the results has to be better games and more people can play. I agree with that. Look, the future of gaming is you want the most people to play. I even said it with live service. It's kind of stupid to lock live service down into a walled garden. It doesn't make any sense if you're talking about the health of the game. And the game that set that off, it's Fortnite. Fortnite proved. It even got Sony to bend the knee and say, look, stop. Let us cross play. Let us cross progression. And look what happened, right? It was the biggest game to kind of break that garden down. And then when I see the statement that says Xbox, health of our platform, this is for you to survive in your business. It's time to pay up. You did this big ROI. You've got to show those comments, show the top leadership. Remember, we talked about the statements that we said last week, which was, they're very generous partners of us. They allow us to, and we have to show we running a business. That's what this is. So this is the situation that you are in. Your timeline has accelerated. It may be the eventual timeline that the industry goes to, but make no mistake, they don't have to go there right now. You do. So that's where this is. And look, and the final thing I said, I want to be very abrasive to them. I'm just like, as a person who's been around the games industry for so long, if this is your path to survival, I got your back. I know how it is when you have a console and you have an ecosystem and it dies immediately. There is no more TurboGrafx-16. There is no more 3DO. There is no more Sega Dreamcast. I know what that is. So this is your path to survival. That's how I see it. That's how I internalize it. And this is the new normal for you. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I don't really have too much more to say, but I'm in agreement with you. This is a them situation more than it is an industry situation.
Yeah, on the note of the question of them talking too much, I feel like a line needs to be drawn. The reason they keep talking is because the cycle keeps repeating. Like, okay, now the standards have changed. Like, here's what's happening with indie. This is announced earlier than Doom versus what's happening with like one of your first party games, and you're moving 4 over, but saying they're not. Is the line needs to be drawn? Like, here's the criteria. Like, I literally think they need to lay it almost like a spreadsheet. Like, here's the criteria for a game that would typically be non-exclusive. Here's the criteria for a game that would be exclusive. And it might just be as simple as like, if you see Xbox Game Studios, that means that this is going to be, without a doubt, exclusive. I could get down with that because then I'm like, okay, it's your family of companies you've bought, but Activision and Bethesda kind of operating independently underneath your umbrella aren't making things exclusively for you. They're making games and you're kind of helping supply them and promote them, and they're going to be on Game Pass. That's all. I think you draw that line, then people know. But the problem is that you keep moving things in different directions, and no one knows what to expect from you. If you draw a line and follow, by the way, that criteria, like that's the thing too. Is like I'm telling them to lay it out, but then I just realized I'm like, they did lay it out. Like, we're doing these 4 games, and we're not doing indie and Starfield, and they do indie, and I'm like, well, maybe drawing the line isn't enough. Maybe talking and going away is a solution. I don't know if there's a solution, because I think it's always going to be until they draw some sort of line in a massive way of like a big question of like Xbox reveals what's that Wu-Tang Clan game, let's say, for example.
Right.
It's like, all right, when's this coming to PlayStation? Okay, it's not. Why? When? Like, it's just every game is susceptible to the same set of questions. And to be a good platform holder and publisher, you want to kind of let like what's like, how involved is Wu-Tang Clan in this game? Like, what's the soundtrack? Like you want people talking about the game and the content within it more than like what platform it's going to. Like, let it be just like with PlayStation. Oh, it's only coming to PlayStation. That's it. I'm like, Astrobot's only on PlayStation. My assumption is there. It's locked in. And I just want to know more about the game now. You got to remove all of that hullabaloo surrounding it, I feel. And that's their biggest problem is like, if you're going to talk, you got to like have the energy of like one last time. And from that point forward, be a little more firm in that once you draw that line, just deny the answer. Just be like, all right, we're not like, we already have the criteria out. Please reference that. And just make that the default place and keep pointing people there until they get the question, the point. I don't know. Like, I know I'm simplifying the answer here, but I just feel like this wheel's going to keep going round for every game that shows up.
Oh yeah.
The Contraband shows up. It's like, is this exclusive? Is Xbox Game Studios publishing thing? Like, what about this? So yeah, I think they're just, sometimes it's like, are they stepping on a rake or just not like properly addressing things fully in a way that can like set the standard now and like 5 years from now? Like, I know they can't say like every game's going to PlayStation or whatever, but setting expectations and then answering on a case-by-case basis would be a lot better, I feel.
No, listen, I love your thought process because that's what I would have liked. I would have liked like, okay, look, guys, everything from Bethesda and everything from ABK, everything from ZeniMax and everything ABK is going to be multi-plat. So this way you establish it. It's no confusion. Moving forward, they were already multi-platform publishers. They will continue to be multi-platform moving forward. And the Xbox Game Studio family is not, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was some clear cut, but what it shows me that they can't define, I'm going to be honest with you, is this thing is still being figured out in real time. Because you can't tell me that you're going to make these amount of contradictions so much if you had a clear and concise plan. So to me, when you're getting pressure from stakeholders, right, things may change on the fly. And that's where the confusion and the disarray seems to be. And yes, it's unfair to the Xbox family. I'm making no excuses for them. I'm just trying to make sense of why when people operate erratically, why they operate erratically. And that's all I could say, that this is definitely pressure. And maybe there is the reason why there's inconsistency, because I brought this up before. When you look at just Bethesda in itself, when you have Starfield, okay, that's coming. Oh, that's exclusive. Okay, that's just Xbox and PC. Okay, cool. Then you have what you call it, Doom. Oh, wait a minute, that's day and date, everyone, right? Doom and Dog. Wow, okay, that's different. And then you have Indiana Jones. Oh, wait a minute, no, that's timed exclusive. You see, one publisher has 3 different scenarios with their titles, right? It's all over the place. And I do feel that it's fair to the Xbox community to know what that is, but I also feel maybe the reason why is in real time, they're trying to make sense of this and figure this out, and they haven't had a concise plan on how the exclusivity is going to work.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just like we could spin our wheels round and round, but is there anything else you want to throw out there on exclusivity moving forward?
No, I think it's a fair question. And I think, again, we're in a new day, it's a new time, and we're all navigating this thing together because we're trying to make sense of it.
Never an easy week. All right, Cog. Last section of the show here, Game Pass Pick of the Week. You have the selection, good sir, so I'll let you sound off once more. What did we pick?
Yeah, this was one that I was surprised because I covered this game, Dungeons of Hinterberg. And I covered this game at a PAX West about a year and a half before release. I'm going to be real with you, Matty. I wasn't feeling it.
Mm.
I was just like, the demo, the vertical slice that they showed me, I was kind of already out in the wilderness. They threw me into a dungeon, heavy puzzle mechanics, and call me an idiot. I didn't necessarily figure out a lot of these things. You know what is bad when a developer got a what you call it, backseat game you.
Yeah.
He's so you might want to jump in the mine cart there and then flip that switch to kind of get past that part. You idiot. He probably bumbling, you idiot, bad time. I'm like, damn, I'm just not, it just wasn't clicking for me. And I'm just like, and it had a cool little art style. And I'm just like, I don't feel, I remember when Xbox had showed that at like an indie showcase or whatever it was. And it was one of the ones they were touting. And I had high hopes coming in. So I was just like, it just didn't sit well with me. So I'm like, I'm good, Disney Hindenburg. I didn't really get the loop. I didn't understand it. So I got to shout my man, the home team. Shout out my man, Billy the Brewer from LordsofGaming.net. So he gets the code, he reviews it. And I saw his review and he was raving about it. I'm like, this can't be the same game that I'm playing. I'm like, that wasn't, it was average and stuff I didn't like. So I'm watching the review and I'm like, you know what? Let me fire this thing up and let me give it a shot. So the first thing is, this game is 2 games in one. It is 2 games. So the first is this, she's a chick. I forgot her profession she does. I think maybe a lawyer or something from the town. She goes to the fictional town of Hindenburg. Now this place is it's like a dungeon. I don't want to say like a dungeon town, like a town where people from all over the world come from because they're like, yo, we heard about these death-defying dungeons and stuff like that. We're adventurers and we want to come here and we want to rule, and not rule, but we want to. It's almost like a game show, like a deadly game show that you live in this town and you can die. Like it's crazy. So, very, very comfortable art style. She wants to change her life. She drives to the town. She gets there and you learn the game really starts to learn you the pace of it. Right. So the first thing you do, it's two games in one. The first is kind of like a day-night cycle where during the day you go to the town, you form a relationships, you got the shops, you can buy weapons, you can do stuff, but it's really about forming bonds with people so that fix your face, Maddie.
So what series that's like?
What you say? Oh, where you go? Oh, yeah. Persona. Oh, okay, I see where you go. Okay.
Familiar.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, it has a little bit of Persona, not to the level. Persona is high level. Yeah. Like this is lesser, right? But you form this relationship, and then there's tangible benefits for who you hang out with during the course of the day and the town and stuff like that. That allows you somebody like give you HP bonuses. Some allows you just all these different abilities and cool stuff, right? So the game starts off and it's teaching you about how the dungeons and stuff work. So now during the town, like there's like 4 or 5 distinct biomes where you could go, right? And what's cool about the game is they'll give you a rating system before you even attempt said dungeon. They'd be like, all right, this is like a 2 demon score. You right now at a 1 demon level. You might not want to go to this one just yet. You can, right? And you don't have to do them you could do them in any order you choose. Then it gives you the basic mechanics. So basically what she has like this sword thing. She got light attack, heavy attack. Then you could do you got magic. And the magic is like this thing where you could like form this almost like a bomb, like a Mario bomb, and you could place it anywhere and detonate. You could use it in magic for enemies. You could also use it for puzzle mechanics. The puzzle mechanics in this game are very strong, and they test you. There are things where there's levers, there's things that you got to use and manipulate. She also has this ability where she could throw like this, like almost like a ball and chain thing and yank enemies to her and stuff like that. So you got magic, you got sword fights, stuff like that. And then you get to the actual dungeons themselves. Have to admit, very well designed, very cool. I would say the game has a lot of attention to it. It's much harder than you think. It is very difficult when you get in some of these dungeons trying to figure out some of these puzzles, but it's a mix between action, puzzle finding, and boss fights. And then when you come out, leveling your character up, making them stronger. But then there's like this strong overall narrative about the town and about the mayor of the town and what's really going on with this quote unquote dungeon town adventure stuff that has almost like this sinister backdrop. I ain't going front. It got a charm to it. It got my only issue. I'm like, man, this game feels like it needs voice acting. There's so much.
I thought it had voice acting. Interesting.
That's my thing. It's like, all right, there's a lot of text going on here. All right. That's my main issue. I'm like, if they had voice, and I could tell this is a small team. This is a small team. This ain't no big, whatever. But like, man, Dungeons is a charming game. It is made. First of all, the art style is beautiful, and it's a very. Let me tell you this: the town is probably like one of the most densest, lively, like filled in town with people coming and going, and NPCs and stuff like that. And it does feel a little Persona. I don't think Persona is actually a good comparison on
I'll
some
be sure
levels.
to check it out now.
It's got a little. Again, let's be. I'm gonna relax. It has a little Persona in it, but it has a charm to it, a passion to it. I'm about 4 or 5 dungeons in, and I'm sticking with it. And I do like a dungeon a day. And again, you can do things in your own order and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I am curious to see where the story goes. And I have to admit, Billy the Brewer, I gotta salute you. You definitely are the one. I wouldn't even fire this game back up, to be honest. That's how the preview vertical slice of the game didn't show well to me, but this is way more polished. So yeah, Dungeons of Hinterberg, give it a shot. I believe we had a write-in like a Duke ago about it, and people were like, yo, somebody was raving about it.
I used it for a Game Pass pick of the week or something like that.
Yeah, they wanted to use it. So I'm like, I got to give it the official now.
Yeah.
Like they were like, yo, you guys got to try. I tried it. It is really cool. They even got like the characters, the NPCs. There's a dog that you can befriend, and that he can find little dungeons and stuff for you. He can do that. So it's a really cool game. I have to admit, it is, and it makes you think. So Dungeons of Hinterberg, go check that out in Game Pass. I have come around on the game.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome to hear. So your Game Pass pick of the week is Dungeons of Hinterberg, and that moves us to wrapping things up here, Cog. And what a show it was. A lot of things to talk about this whole episode. So with that, it means we have a tough choice on the hashtag. What are we thinking?
Whew, I know. What do we do with this one? Because we got one major news beat with them talking and not talking or whatever they doing. And then we got a lot of stuff. We had great. The side stuff was the fun stuff. We had a lot of. I don't know. We had so many different beats. I'm trying to think. This was a tough one. Yeah, let's see.
I want you to pick it because I pick it every week. I feel like
all right.
I feel like I fire
it out. You be on it. That's why I'll be like,
I feel like I fire it out, and you're like, yeah, it's a good one. I'm like, what if I just let Cog pick?
Okay. I mean, a lot of it to me, if I want to give like a theme, the theme of this Duke to me is like transition. You know what I'm saying? Like they are in this transitionary period. We've never seen this before. Are they multi-plat? Are they not? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they a platform publisher? So to me, we're at DD transition.
I like that. All right. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you got this deep. Go ahead and use the hashtag DD transition or transition DD. Sorry.
Transition DD. I like it even better.
There we go. Transition DD. You can use it in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Otherwise, you can tag us on Twitter. I'm at Juicy7Status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Again, use the hashtag transition DD. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Cog, any closing thoughts as we wrap this one up?
Another dope one. Salute to you, man. Like I watched back the in-person Duke.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, I watched it back. I was like, that was fire.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, shout out to Teddy. And then I watched somebody comment, like, so cool, Maddie. Like people like, we want this now all the time. I'm like,
I wish, honestly. I liked it a lot more. But
yeah, it was super dope. And then I like the comment. Someone was like, it's like the two homies kicking back beers. They was acting like
in the middle. You called that completely. I didn't even think of that when we had all the cans there. Like we were just throwing it down. We were 5 beers deep, just showing up on the show.
Bros broing it up, throwing it down. Nah, I did like that, man. Shout out to Teddy, man. Shout out to Teddy. I want to give him his flowers.
Helped us out so big. Man.
He helped us out so much, just getting that the aesthetic and all that, the logistics finalized, so that we could give you at least a competent, good sounding product. Because when I listened, I was like, wow, that sounded good. So I was like,
shout out to Locke for staying up late. So that
Locke.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that last episode, but he was up late. I was literally texting him in the car when we were going out for ramen afterwards because at first the audio was garbage. And he's like, "Do you have a backup?" I was like, "Yes." And I
good call.
Yeah, he used the backup. He used the backup for that one because he said, "I don't know what happened, but I think it was picking up your laptop audio or something."
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that, but
okay,
really weird. Or my laptop audio, something like that. But thank God we had the backup, so we were good.
Thank God we had the backup. Yeah, that saved that show.
We had a hell of a setup there, like 2 laptops, because mine was like dying from, I guess, like too much power being drawn. Because once we had that setup, we were good, no problem. So thank goodness.
Yeah, shout out to Xbox for letting us rock there, even though we were being super critical of them.
I know, right?
We were ripping them to shreds on certain things. And they're like, yeah, you guys go ahead, keep on. I was like, all right, cool, because we going to be here for a while.
Yeah, they knew.
You got to give them credit for that. So, yeah,
100%.
Shout out to them for allowing us to have the facility and let us do a Defining Duke there.
Yeah.
And then, again, us being us and having fun.
100%. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making all these episodes possible. Again, patreon.com/laststandmedia. Link down below if you want to join us and be part of the fun. Other than that, we'll catch you next week for episode 192. Again, we're recording on a Monday, so I might theme the episode around something else. I don't know. Like, we're going to figure it out. If there's enough news, we'll be a standard episode of DD. But since I'm flying out early, we have the live show. We do want to get it done in advance so that production team can do their thing. But other than that, Cog, excellent episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Until then, take good care of yourselves and peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Maddie's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.